Chapter 2576. That's right. There are a total of 35 participants. We are all ranked in the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, so we should have a high chance of entering the top 16. Everyone relax. Ho Qingshan, who had participated in the 7-sect tournament, encouraged them. Last time, he had successfully advanced to the top 16. However, he had lost to Wuyo in the round of 16. This time, Night Sorrow, Yanzheng Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue had appeared. He felt that the burden on his shoulders had lightened a lot. I'm a little worried that Tianqing Gate, as the host, will do something bad to us in the tournament. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. He was still brooding over the matter of his accommodation. They dare to target our Tianyan school without restraint mainly because our sect master is missing and our results have been poor for many years. If you don't want to be looked down upon, it will depend on your performance. Rules are dead, but people are alive. No matter how we are targeted, we will face it with our strength. Lu Qingyuan said as he looked at Night Sorrow, who was walking in from outside. Night Sorrow, what do you think about the change in the rules? Since we are here, let's take it as it comes. No matter how they target us, we will use our fists to break the rules. They won't stop us from participating, right? Haha. Night Sorrow said with a smile as he walked over slowly. He had just finished studying the secret treasure that could confine space, the Red Golden Dragon Rune. He had snatched the Red Golden Dragon Rune from Wen Zhengfang when he left the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave, and was ambushed by the Dark Moon Dominator's mansion. Even with his strength, he couldn't dodge the Red Golden Dragon Rune in a large area when he was confined by it. The effect was similar to the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but the area it covered was much larger. It should be effective against the Feather God and the High Deity. Yishang is right. At the end of the day, it all depends on strength. Tomorrow is the tournament. Everyone have a good rest today. Lu Qingyuan didn't say too much about the grand competition, and hurried back to his room to rest. Seeing him leave in a hurry, Si Kongxiang smiled and teased. I discovered that the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has set up a honey trap for us. Look, Elder Lu doesn't have the mood to care about the large competition at all. You're so nosy. Mei Ruoxue immediately glared at Si Kongxiang when she saw that his words were not serious. After that, everyone chatted and laughed for a while before returning to their rooms to rest. Night Sorrow returned to his room and lay down on the bed to rest. Ho Qingshan knocked on his door. Senior brother Ho, what's the matter? Night Sorrow opened the door and looked at Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan had entered the sect much earlier than him, so Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to call him senior brother. Brother Yi, this is what happened. According to tradition, the geniuses of the Feather God group will hold a tea party on the eve of every large competition to discuss the heroes. This time, like the last one, I received an invitation. Ho Qingshan naturally didn't have the nerve to call him junior brother. He asked in an inquiring tone. I would like to invite Brother Yi to go with me. What do you think? Ho Qingshan had been severely humiliated at the last tea party. If Night Sorrow didn't go, he wouldn't go either. Tea party. I don't mind. If senior brother Ho needs me, I'm willing to go with you. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He felt that it was a good thing to meet a top expert of the Feather God realm before the large competition. As for whether it was a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, he didn't really care. Okay. I'm relieved that Brother Yi has agreed. Sai, I won't hide it from you. During the last large competition, I was bullied by Wu Yu from Tianqing Gate. This time he's the host. I feel that he has to find an opportunity to humiliate my Tianyan school. Ho Qingshan was naturally happy that Night Sorrow had agreed. However, he also told the truth. They might be going to a feast at Hongmen. It's fine. If you're happy, we can stay a little longer. If you're not happy, you can leave at any time. Night Sorrow didn't care about this at all. Night Sorrow could tell from Tianqing Gate's attitude towards Tianyun School that the so-called tea party to discuss the heroes wouldn't stop. Brother Yi is right. The tea party is about to start. Why don't we go now? Ho Qingshan said politely. Okay, let's go. Night Sorrow nodded and walked out of the courtyard with Ho Qingshan. As soon as they walked out of the courtyard, they saw a Tianqing Gate disciple in the upper celestial realm waiting outside. The two of them followed the Tianqing Gate disciple and rushed to the location of the tea party. The tea party was held in a pavilion in the middle of a lake on Tianqing Gate's Wuyou Peak. By the time Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan arrived, most of the genius disciples of the seven sects had already arrived. The two of them handed over their invitations and walked in. They saw more than 10 top geniuses of the Feather God realm had already taken their seats. At this moment, Wuyou was sitting at the head of the table. On his lower left was Heavenly Immortal Sect's Shang Su Yan, and on his lower right was Heavenly Martial Pavilion's Yan Jifei. Next were Heavenly Star Pavilion's Ao Qingsong, Soaring Heaven Sect's Wen Tianhe, and Tianyuan School's Xianyuan Changya. They were the top 6 geniuses of the Feather God list. Behind them was another genius of the Tianqing Gate, Dongfeng Li, who was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. The seat opposite him was empty. It was obviously reserved for Ho Qingshan. On Dongfeng Li's right was an acquaintance of Night Sorrow, Tianyuan School's Yao Shi. When she saw Night Sorrow walk into the pavilion, a hint of joy appeared on her face. However, she didn't immediately speak because of the occasion. The seat next to Ho Qingshan was empty. It was unknown who it was reserved for. Yan Jifei's expression immediately turned ugly when he saw Night Sorrow. He had lost miserably to Night Sorrow, and even his aunt had lost to the Tianyan school. Naturally, he wouldn't tell anyone. However, many of the people present had already received the news. It was just that no one pointed it out. Brother Qingshan, who is this person next to you? Do you know that this is a tea party for discussing heroes? Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can attend. Wu Yu, who was sitting at the head of the table, chided coldly. He knew who Night Sorrow was, but he was deliberately making things difficult for him. As soon as Wu Yu spoke, the geniuses who had been discussing immediately turned their attention to Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan, who had just walked into the pavilion. Wu Yu was ranked first on the Feather God list. His aura was very strong. When Ho Qingshan was reprimanded by him, she immediately understood. This is Night Sorrow from the Tianyan school. He is ranked on both the Feather God list and the Upper God list. I felt that he was suitable to attend this tea party, so I invited him. You think he's suitable? Did you ask for my permission? Ho Qingshan, who gave you the guts to bring someone here without permission? Wu Yu looked coldly at Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave when Wu Yu's divine realm enveloped her. Even speaking was difficult. If you don't think he's suitable, we can leave. There's no need to be so aggressive. Night Sorrow used his divine realm to block Wu Yu's divine realm. He helped Ho Qingshan out of the situation and prepared to leave. Chapter 2577. Aha! I finally know why Lin Tianxi, the prodigy of Tianqing Gate, was killed by Mu Baiyu. It turns out that the people of Tianqing Gate have no manners. Night Sorrow laughed at Wu Yu's provocation. I've heard of a few famous prodigies in the God realm. Hegemen Tianai, Hegemen Clearsound, Hegemen Buddha. Don't you find it ridiculous that a feather god like you thinks you can control the world? Some of the geniuses present immediately sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard Yi Shan publicly insult Worryless. In their eyes, Wu Yu was a peerless prodigy who couldn't be challenged in the god realm. Many people treated him with respect, just like how they treated the experts of their sections. Yao Shi's eyes were filled with worry. She knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, at least a lot stronger than her. However, she wasn't sure how strong he would be compared to Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu had been at the top of the Feather God list for many years. No one knew how strong he was. What an interesting person. Shang Shu Yen of the Celestial Immortal Sect smiled. She could see that Night Sorrow wasn't trying to play to the gallery. He wasn't afraid of Wu Yu at all. The Celestial Immortal Sect was the most special sect in the Cloud Immortal continent. All of its disciples were female cultivators, and all of them were beautiful. Shang Suyen was the same. There was a different feeling in his chuckle. Good. Very good. Night Sorrow, is it? I admire your boldness. Come, I Wu Yu propose a toast to you. Wu Yu couldn't stay calm after being insulted in public. He threw the wine cup at Night Sorrow. I, Night Sorrow, may not be a prodigy, but I don't want to drink a toast from trash. Since Wu Yu was clearly targeting him, Yishang didn't give him any face at all. He flicked out a beam of divine essence energy from his fingertip and directly shattered the wine cup. Then he said, "Senior brother Ho, since we're not welcome, let's go back." "Okay. Let's go." Wu You's supercilious appearance made Ho Qingshan's heart rise with anger. Needless to say, if it wasn't for Night Sorrow's arrival today, he would definitely be targeted in all sorts of ways. "You can come and go as you please. What do you think the tea party organized by Brother Wu You is?" Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan turned around and prepared to leave. But soaring heaven sex when Tian he immediately slammed the table and stood up. Xianyuan Changya from Tianxian School also stood up and scolded. "If you don't give Brother Wu You an explanation, don't even think about leaving." "Senior brother, what are you doing?" Seeing that senior brother Xianyuan Changya actually stood up to help Wu You berate Night Sorrow, Yaoshi immediately questioned with a frown. "Senior brother is preparing to teach a lesson to someone with no manners." Xianyuan Changya snorted unhappily and asked in return, "Why, do you know this person?" Tianxian School's news was lagging behind. He was one of the few people who didn't know that Night Sorrow had defeated Yan Jifei. "Night Sorrow is my good friend. He's not a person without manners." Wu You was clearly the one who provoked him first. Yaoshi suddenly stood up and walked to Night Sorrow's side. "Junior sister, sit back down. Have you been brainwashed by evil people?" Seeing Yaoshi standing beside Night Sorrow, Xianyuan Changya immediately scolded loudly. "I think you've been brainwashed. Night Sorrow, the atmosphere here has changed. Let's go." Yaoshi was originally a gentle person, but now she was a little angry. Her cheeks were a little red from anger. Wu You was clearly targeting Night Sorrow. However, Xianyuan Changya stood up for Wu You, which made her feel ashamed. "Rebellion? Yaoshi, you're rebelling. Believe it or not, I'll get the elders of the sect to punish you." Seeing that Yaoshi was leaving, Xianyuan Changya hollered in a frenzy. "I came from a branch of the Heavenly Profound sect, and am not a member of the Heavenly Profound sect. What right do you have to punish me?" Hearing Xianyuan Changya's holler, Yaoshi looked back and said, "Xianyuan Changya, I'm telling you because of you, I Yaoshi, have chosen to withdraw from the 7-sect tournament. Let's go and find a place to have a few drinks. I'm really sorry to have implicated you and your senior brother in an argument." Night Sorrow looked at Yaoshi and said, "Okay, let's go." Actually, Yaoshi had chosen to stand out mainly for Yishang's sake. She was afraid that if Yishang had too few people on his side, Worryless would join forces with the other bootlickers to attack him. "Everyone wait for me. The alcohol here is very depressing. If you don't mind, count me in. I'm not very good at drinking." At this moment, Ao Qingsong of the Starry Sky Pavilion stood up drunkenly. "Brother Qingsong." Seeing that Ao Qingsong stood up, Ho Qingshan immediately cupped his fists at him. "I'm not targeting you," Ao Qingsong said nonchalantly before continuing. "Brother Yi, I'm Ao Qingsong from the Starry Sky Pavilion. Yin Tianyi, that punk, would mention you every few days. Now that I've met you, you're indeed better than your reputation." Seeing that Yaoshi and Ao Qingsong stood on Night Sorrow's side, Wu Yu's face was bruised. Just now he had said that Night Sorrow was a nobody. Now there were 2 experts ranked in the top 10 of the God of Feathers list standing beside Night Sorrow. This was a slap to his face. "So you're Tianyi's senior brother. Nice to meet you." Hearing Ao Qingsong's words, Night Sorrow immediately remembered that Yun Tianyi, Zhuang He, and the others had indeed joined the Starry Sky Pavilion. After thinking for a moment, he sent a voice transmission. "Brother Qingsong, what's your relationship with Ao Qingshan?" "Ao Qingshan is my cousin. I, Ao Qingsong, admire what Brother Yishang has done for Haibei City." Ao Qingsong replied with a voice transmission. He was also a cultivator from Haibei City. "I wonder if Tianyi came this time? If he's here, we can have a drink together. He also knows Yaoshi. We fought side by side in the Zhenyuan Divine Lord's cave abode." Night Sorrow continued to send a voice transmission as they walked out of the pavilion. "That kid has fused with the blood essence of the Divine King. His strength has improved very quickly. Now that he has the strength to challenge the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, he naturally came this time. Brother Yi, take your friends and come with me to the Starry Sky Pavilion." Ao Chingsong invited Night Sorrow. Okay, let's go. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. They were in Wu Yu's territory, but they dared to stand up and walk with him. This definitely required courage, and he appreciated it very much. Only 9 of the top 10 of the God of Feathers list had come, and 4 of them had left at once. Wu Yu's face had turned completely red. Now that things had turned out this way, he couldn't start a war. He could only threaten them coldly. You'd better not let me meet you in the grand competition. I think it's you who'd better not let me meet you. Night Sorrow turned back and glanced at Wu Yu. The smell of gunpowder between the two of them was already quite strong. After leaving the pavilion of Wu Yu Peak, the group arrived at the peak where the Starry Sky Pavilion was located. After chatting with Yun Tianyi for a while, the few of them raised their glasses and chatted under the moonlight. They had similar thoughts. After the grand competition, they would choose to break through to the upper divine realm. They wouldn't be like some people who would continue to settle down for the so-called foundation. While drinking, Ao Chingsong told Night Sorrow something. Wu Yu was the younger brother of the Divine King. After hearing this news, Night Sorrow's impression of Wu Yu became even worse. As for the grand competition, they had a tacit understanding and didn't mention it. Chapter 2578. When it was time for the 7-sect tournament, Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan returned to the Tianyun School's camp and headed to the venue with everyone else. Yaoshi didn't want to return to the Tianxian School's camp to see Xianyuan Changye, so she left a message for the Tianxian School's elder to tell him that she was withdrawing. Then, she went to the square that the Tianqing Gate had set up for the 7-sect tournament with the other Tianyun School's disciples. The square was built by a mountain that had been cut in half, and a defensive array was set up by the Divine King's array formation master. The sturdiness of the array had already surpassed the level of the God of Feathers. It was also very spacious, and there were more than 10,000 seats around the 16 arenas. At this time, the seats were already full. Most of the audience were disciples of the Tianqing Gate, and some were from other sects in the Yunxian continent. There were also people from the Tianyun school, but they weren't from the sect. After the people of the 7 sects were all seated, the sect master of the Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, gave the opening speech of the 7-sect tournament. Then the host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy sect master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, began to read the rules of the tournament. There are a total of 35 participants in this tournament. One person has already withdrawn, so there are 34 people left. After some research, we have decided that the first round will be decided by drawing lots. 32 of the 34 people will be selected to advance. What? The first round is decided by drawing lots? Does that mean that anyone can be eliminated? The qualification isn't decided by one's strength? What kind of F**king rule is this? Does it mean that there are 2 unlucky people who didn't even have a chance to participate in the 7-sect tournament and ended up in the 33rd and 34th place? Exactly. Isn't this a joke? If Worryless is eliminated, that would be too laughable. Many people began to complain when they heard the F**king rule. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? They can't be targeting Night Sorrow, right? When this rule was made public, Lu Qingyuan's face immediately turned ashen. If they're really targeting Night Sorrow, then they're really shameless. Si Kongxiang said worriedly. Mei Ruoxue and Ho Qingshan's expressions were also very ugly. If Night Sorrow was eliminated by them in this way, then this 7-sect grand tournament would really be too disappointing. Let's draw lots first. Let's see what they're up to. As the person involved, Night Sorrow was relatively calm. After all, if the draw was fair, the probability of him being picked was very small. That's the only way. If Night Sorrow is really selected, then Tianyun School will immediately withdraw from the 7-sect tournament. As the leader of the Tianyun School team, Lu Qingyuan was naturally the representative to draw lots. When he went to draw lots, everyone, including Night Sorrow, was rather nervous. No one wanted to be picked. The process of drawing lots was relatively fast. Not long after, the 2 people who were eliminated were determined. When the names of the eliminated people were read out, the crowd was in an uproar. Because these 2 people were both from Tianyun School. One was Night Sorrow, and the other was Ho Qingshan. The two strongest people in Tianyun School were directly eliminated before they could participate in the tournament. They were ranked 33rd and 34th respectively. F***CK. Tianqing Gate's bastards. You're too shameless. When the results were read out, Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he cursed. F***CKU. These bastards are really despicable. Si Kongxiang was so angry that his hands were trembling. The other people from Tianyun School looked even worse. They knew that they would be targeted, but Night Sorrow didn't even have a chance to make a move before he was eliminated. This almost angered them to death. Even Yaoshi was so angry that she clenched her fists and said disdainfully, "This is too much. This is really too much. There's no point in holding this 7-sect tournament anymore. No. I protest. I want to protest. What kind of rule is this? It's obvious that you're targeting Tianyun School." Lu Qingyuan shouted, but no one paid any attention to him. He directly rushed to the rostrum and complained. "Elder Lu, you're wrong. Things like drawing lots are determined by luck. The fact that 2 disciples from Tianyun School were selected proves that Tianyun School's luck isn't good. It's not that the rules of the 7-sect tournament are unfair." The host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy gate master of Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, replied with a cold face. "Fair. Fair my ass. You're just afraid that Night Sorrow will steal Wuyo's first place, so you're using all kinds of methods. Am I right? Ho Wanli, what do you think is going on?" Lu Qingyuan, whose face was livid, immediately rebuked angrily. Ho Wanli, who was sitting on the rostrum, came from Tianyun School and was one of the 7 chairmen of this tournament. The rules were set by everyone. I'm also heartbroken that Night Sorrow and Qingshan were selected, but this is the truth. We have to accept it. Ho Wanli, who was on the rostrum, said with a pained expression, "Elder Lu, please return to your seat. Don't interfere with the 7-sect tournament." He was a distant relative of the deputy gate master Ho Jun. He must have been bribed this time. Otherwise he wouldn't be like this. "Ho Wanli, you traitor." Hearing Ho Wanli's words, Lu Qingyuan's face became even uglier. He sneered and said, "I don't want to participate in this shameless 7-sect tournament. I, Tianyun School, choose to withdraw." After saying that, he returned to Tianyun School's seat and said, "Let's go." The disciples and elders of Tianyun School all stood up from their seats and prepared to leave together. At this time, Wu Yu, who was at Tianqing Gate, stood up. He looked at Night Sorrow provocatively and transmitted his voice. "This is the price you have to pay for provoking me. Take care, I won't see you off." "Wuyo, just based on your temperament, I, Night Sorrow, can fight against 10 of you." At this time, Night Sorrow was quite angry. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen a sect as shameless as Tianqing Gate. He replied coldly, "Hee. You think that you are invincible in the Divine Feather Realm after defeating Yen Jifei?" Wu Yu replied disdainfully. "Even if I am not invincible in the Divine Feather Realm, killing you is as easy as killing a chicken." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Wu Yu. He condensed his divine origin energy and shouted in the square. "Tianqing Gate Wu Yu, I Tianyun School's Night Sorrow. Challenge you to a battle of life and death. Do you dare to fight with me?" After transmitting his voice to Wu Yu, he issued a challenge to Wu Yu in front of everyone. "If you don't let me participate in the tournament, then I will use a challenge to defeat you. Let's see if you have the face to win the tournament again." Hua. Hearing that Night Sorrow had issued a challenge to the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament, the audience was in an uproar. "I would like to fight with you, but now is the time of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. You have been eliminated and are not qualified to fight with me." Facing Night Sorrow's challenge, Wu Yu raised his voice and shouted, "Besides, I am the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. Am I someone that can be casually challenged by a cat or dog?" "That's right, senior brother Wu Yu is not someone you can challenge just because you want to. I think you are crazy because you want to be famous." Many of the Tianqing Gate disciples present insulted Night Sorrow. One Tian He of Soaring Heaven Sect and Xianyuan Changyi of Tianyuan School also transmitted their voices to Night Sorrow. Chapter 2579. Who is this Night Sorrow? Why is he so arrogant? Not only did he challenge senior brother Wu Yu, he even dares to challenge the top 3 experts. He's just trying to please the crowd. That's right. He's not even fit to carry senior brother Wu Yu's shoes. Some of the heavenly clear sex disciples, especially the female disciples, began to chatter and disdain Yishang. They didn't even know that Night Sorrow was ranked 3rd on the Divine Feather list, and was also on the Divine Feather list. They only blindly worshipped Wu Yu. As for Wu Yu, he was quickly losing face after being challenged by Night Sorrow. He was afraid that if he didn't accept the challenge, he would be seen as a coward. He glared at Night Sorrow and said, "You're far from qualified to challenge the 3 of us. But seeing how blindly confident you are, Wu Yu, will give you a chance. When the 7-sec tournament is over, I'll give you the chance to challenge junior brother Dongfang Li. If you can beat my junior brother, you can fight me." Wu Yu's words were decent, but he emphasized that he would only bring it up after the 7-sec tournament. When the dust settled, no one would care about the so-called challenge. Haha, since when does the 3rd on the Divine Feather list need to challenge the 7th to prove his strength? Night Sorrow sneered at Wu Yu. I've already defeated Yen Jifei. Do I still need to challenge Dongfang Li to prove myself? Hearing this, some of the spectators from the Tianqing Gate and other sects were shocked. Some of them had thought that Night Sorrow wasn't qualified to challenge Wu Yu. But now they felt that it was normal for the 3rd to challenge the 1st. They also felt that it was a pity that the 3rd on the Divine Feather list had been eliminated by drawing lots. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, the host of the 7-sec tournament, the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, suddenly spoke up. No matter where you are on the Divine Feather list, you've been eliminated by the rules. If you continue to speak and affect the competition, don't blame me for personally killing you. This time Tianqing Gate had already decided that they would not allow Night Sorrow to participate in the Feather Deity Group competition no matter what. However, if he participated in the Deity Group, then there would be no problem. Night Sorrow, let's not talk about it. The incident happened at Tianqing Gate. Lu Qingyuan was afraid that the other party's masters would attack Night Sorrow, so he immediately warned him. Although the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in his spatial artifact, was just as displeased, he still reminded him. Night Sorrow is the future of Tianyin School. We can't let Tianqing Gate find an excuse to attack him. Our Tianyin School will withdraw from this year's competition first. All right. Lu Qingyuan, who was trying to console Night Sorrow, spoke to him for a while before leading the Tianyin School group in the direction they had left. At this time, everyone from the Starry Sky Pavilion also stood up. Zhuang Xinghe, the vice-sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, who was leading the group, snorted coldly. It's fine if we don't participate in the 7-sects tournament. Friends of Tianyin School, wait for us. Then he led the group to chase after the Tianyin School group. They had chosen to stand on Tianyin School's side. Sect leader Zhuang, calm down. Don't be rash. Liang Shijun, the vice-sect leader of Tianqing Gate, immediately stopped him when he saw that the Starry Sky Pavilion was about to withdraw. What else do you want to say? In the future, you can have fun in the 7-sects tournament. The fame, ranking, and rewards will all belong to you. Zhuang Xinghe glared at Liang Shijun, snorted coldly, and ignored him. He walked to Yishang's side and said, "Little friend, Yishang's spirit is extraordinary. Your courage and insight in fighting 1 against 3 is admirable. Senior, you flatter me. Night Sorrow just can't stand their shamelessness." Night Sorrow said modestly, "A real powerhouse is born fearless. You should be like Night Sorrow. Wu Yu is talented, but he has gone astray." Zhuang Xinghe smiled and chatted with Night Sorrow. At the same time, the disciples of Tianyin School and the Starry Sky Pavilion in the audience all stood up from their seats and followed the disciples of the 2 sections. There were about 2,000 people in this group. It was a grand scene. Nonsense. Tianyin School and the Starry Sky Pavilion, you are unreasonable. Tan Qingfeng, the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, stood up and scolded angrily after the Tianyin School and the Starry Sky Pavilion left. Now that things had turned out this way, it was already a mess. His face was not looking good. You are the unreasonable ones. He is just a feather god. How can you be so scared? Not only did you try to change the rules, but you also tried to kick him out. Are you so afraid that Tianyan School will turn the tables in the 7-sect tournament? Zhuang Xinghe, the deputy sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, frowned and replied. Lu Qingyuan's status was not high enough to represent the Tianyan School. Are you two ready to become enemies with the other sects? Tan Qingfeng didn't continue to talk about the 7-sect tournament. Instead, he asked coldly. If Tianqing Gate wants to fight, the Starry Sky Pavilion will accompany you. But don't accuse us. Tianqing Gate can't represent the 5 major sects. Zhuang Xinghe said fearlessly. The Starry Sky Pavilion was different from Tianyan School. Their sect leader wasn't missing and wasn't weak. They weren't afraid of Tianqing Gate at all. Hearing this, Yu Zhengxian, the deputy sect leader of Soaring Heaven sect, immediately stood up and said, the 7-sect tournament represents the face of the 7 sections. The Starry Sky Pavilion and Tianyan School's withdrawal is a slap in the face of the 5 sections. Naturally, they are our enemies. The people of Tianyan School and the Heavenly Martial Pavilion also stood up and supported Tianqing Gate. The smell of gunpowder was getting stronger. Shang Suyen of the Heavenly Immortal sect suddenly stood up and said softly, Seniors, can you listen to this junior? Shang Suyen, what do you have to say? Say it. The sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, nodded. This junior thinks that the 7 sects have existed for so many years. There is no need to be so tense because of the 7-sect tournament. Shang Suyen pondered for a moment and continued. Since Tianyan School thinks that the rules are unreasonable, we can adjust the rules appropriately and give Night Sorrow a chance to participate. Wouldn't this matter be resolved? Can the rules be changed just because you want to? Hearing this, Tan Qingfeng looked at Shang Suyen with displeasure. He originally thought that Shang Suyen would represent the Heavenly Immortal sect and stand on Tianqing Gate's side. Didn't the rules of this 7-sect tournament suddenly change? If that's the case, why don't we change it again and give everyone a chance to participate? What's wrong with that? Shang Suyen said softly, but everyone present could hear him clearly. You. Sit down. Tan Qingfeng was so angry that he snorted. Sect leader Tan, you're so impressive. Are you not giving anyone a chance to speak? In the future, the 7 sects will have to follow the will of Tianqing Gate? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from Shang Suyan's seat. So what if I'm impressive? So what if I'm not? Does the Heavenly Immortal sect want to follow in the footsteps of Tianyan School and the Heavenly Star Pavilion? Tan Qingfeng, who was completely enraged, replied coldly. Yes, so what? The murderous intent in his cold voice grew heavier. Yes. I'll destroy. Tan Qingfeng originally wanted to say something ruthless, but halfway through, he saw that the person who spoke was a shadow. Chapter 2580. What's going on? Why is our sect leader kneeling before a phantom? Is she some kind of big shot? Seeing Tan Qingfeng kneeling before the phantom of the woman playing the zither, the disciples of Tianqing Gate began to discuss among themselves. In their hearts, Tan Qingfeng was a supreme being. His sudden kneeling down shocked countless people. At this time, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, quickly kowtowed and said, My lady, Tan Qingfeng is guilty. Please forgive me. You Tan Qingfeng, aren't you a big shot? Why are you kneeling on the ground? The woman playing the zither snorted. I don't dare to be powerful in front of you. Please forgive me for my offense. Tan Qingfeng kept kowtowing and apologizing. Tan Qingfeng, the 7 sects have existed for countless reincarnations. Don't let your arbitrary actions destroy the unity of the 7 sects. As for the 7 sects tournament, it's meant to select talents, not to compete for fame and fortune. You're on your own now. After saying this, the zither-playing woman's silhouette completely disappeared into the void. She didn't release any divine realm from the beginning to the end. However, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled as he stood up. His robe was soaked in sweat. The big shots of the other sects also kept quiet out of fear. Then Tan Qingfeng and the others invited Tianyan School and the people of the Starry Sky Pavilion back to their seats with smiles on their faces. After apologizing, they announced a new set of rules for the Seven Sex Tournament's Divine Feather Group. Although the challenge tournament was still held, Tianqing Gate took the initiative to withdraw 2 people to make room for Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan. However, only the top 3 sects in each sect would be selected. The sect with the lowest number would be the champion of the Divine Feather Group of the Seven Sex Tournament. Tianqing Gate seemed to be generous this time, but in fact, they had their own plans. The sect that won the Seven Sex Tournament would be blessed by the Heavenly Cloud Continent's luck. They were unwilling to give it away, otherwise, they wouldn't have targeted Night Sorrow. If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. The people from Tianqing Gate are despicable. When Lu Qingyuan was drawing lots on behalf of Tianyan School, Si Kongxiang said disdainfully, "Who was that girl just now? He obviously doesn't have any aura, but he was able to make Tan Qingfeng kneel. He's really not simple. Are you a pig? Tan Qingfeng is one of the strongest in the Divine King. Who else can scare him?" Upon hearing Si Kongxiang's words, Mei Ruoxue couldn't help but mock him. Could it really be he Gemin voiceless sound? Si Kongxiang muttered and sighed. No wonder everyone wants to become a ruler. Even a phantom image could scare the Divine King into kneeling and begging for mercy. This feeling was simply too great. If I can become a sovereign, then you can go to sleep now. You'll become a sovereign soon. Mei Ruoxue mocked him. I'm afraid I won't even have the chance to become a sovereign in my dreams. However, Night Sorrow has it. We can now hug his thigh. Haha. Elder Lu told me that Night Sorrow has the disposition of a sovereign. Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. Disposition of a sovereign? Mei Ruoxue and the other feather gods of Tianyan School all looked at Night Sorrow. Although they knew that Night Sorrow was very powerful, they didn't know that he was so talented. When they heard this news, they were all shocked. Why are you all looking at me? We are all feather gods. It's too early to talk about the topic of a sovereign. Night Sorrow, who had responded, was actually speechless. Just now, when he opened his sea serpent eye, he discovered that the Guqin woman's projection was actually Shangshu Yan's projection. It wasn't the legendary sovereign Qingyin at all. Tan Qingfeng actually knelt down to Shangshu Yan, a feather god. If this news spread, he would definitely be laughed at. At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed that Shangshu Yan was looking at him. He smiled and said telepathically, "Aren't you afraid of being discovered by pretending to be a sovereign?" What? You actually saw through it? Hearing Night Sorrow's telepathic message, Shangshu Yan's face showed a hint of surprise. I'm curious. Tan Qingfeng is a divine king. Why can't he see through it? The projection just now didn't even release its divine realm. Night Sorrow was very curious about why Tan Qingfeng and the others were stunned. It's because he has a guilty conscience. When he saw the legendary Guqin woman, he immediately thought of that person. Haha, he deserves to kneel. Shangshu Yan replied to Night Sorrow and continued. This time, I helped you in Tianyan School. How are you going to thank me? If we meet in the arena, can you let me win this time? Let you win? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, since you helped me, I can let you win this time. If we meet in the finals, I will choose to forfeit. If they met in the finals before Wu Yu was eliminated, he definitely wouldn't let him win. Okay. It's a deal. I didn't help you for nothing. A sly smile appeared on Shangshu Yan's face. At this moment, the leaders of the 7 sects all returned to their respective camps. Not long after, the results of the draw were announced. Night Sorrow's opponent in the first round was Lin Guanyu from Tianxian School. He was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list and shouldn't be a threat. Ho Qingshan's opponent was Dongfang Li from Tianqing Gate. He was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. His luck wasn't very good. He met such a strong opponent in the first round. Yin Zheng's opponent was Fan Su from Soaring Heaven sect. Fan Su was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list. Logically speaking, Yin Zheng's victory wasn't much of a surprise. Si Kongxiang's luck was off the charts. His opponent was a female cultivator ranked 39th on the Feather God list. This female cultivator was the weakest in the 7-sect grand competition. As for Mei Ruoxue, after the draw, her 7-sect grand competition also ended. Her opponent was Wen Tianhe from Soaring Heaven sect. when Tianhe was ranked 5th on the Feather God list. She definitely wasn't his opponent. There were 16 arenas in the 7-sect grand competition. After the draw, the 5 Feather Gods from Tianyun School went up to the arenas. Night Sorrow followed the 7-sect grand competition's disciplinary elder to arena number 3. Tianxian School's Lin Guanyu was already waiting there. Lin Guanyu, as his name suggested, had an outstanding appearance. However, when he looked at Night Sorrow, his eyes were filled with intense hatred. When Night Sorrow entered the arena, Lin Guanyu coldly asked, "What's your relationship with Yao Shi? What does our relationship have to do with you?" When Lin Guanyu spoke, Night Sorrow understood that he was an admirer of Yao Shi. "If you have a relationship with her, you will die by my hands. Otherwise, I will spare your life." Lin Guanyu glared at Night Sorrow with hatred. His words were filled with killing intent. "You want to kill me? I'm afraid you're thinking too much." Night Sorrow smiled in the face of the threat. With his strength, he didn't fear anyone in the arena. However, Lin Guanyu's gaze was somewhat sinister, which made him feel that something was wrong. Leaving the arena, admitting defeat, or being killed are all considered as elimination. If the opponent admits defeat and continues to fight, it will be considered a violation of the rules, and will be severely punished. In addition, divine talismans and other illegal items cannot be used. The other arenas have already started, so you too should hurry up and start. Chapter 2581. Okay, let's start. Night Sorrow was reminded by the law enforcement patriarch and cupped his fists. As for Lin Guanyu, he still had a dead face. He stared at Night Sorrow and said, "You haven't answered my question. Are you under some kind of curse?" Lin Guanyu asked the same question again. Night Sorrow replied impatiently. At this time, Lin Guanyu suddenly laughed evilly and said, "My heart belongs to the moon, but the moon shines on the ditch. Are you crazy?" Night Sorrow looked at him and was speechless. However, under such circumstances, he was too embarrassed to make the first move. He could only wait and see what was wrong with Lin Guanyu. Yao Shi and I should have been a match made in heaven, but she couldn't see it clearly. Lin Guanyu looked sad. Suddenly, his face became ferocious and he said, "Night Sorrow, go to hell. I won't let you get Yao Shi." Then he threw out an invincible divine monarch-level divine talisman at Yishang. "Bastard! You deserve to die. I've said that talismans are not allowed in the duel." Seeing Lin Guanyu throw the talisman, the law enforcement patriarch immediately roared and activated the divine king-level array in the arena to stop all this. However, Lin Guanyu's attack was too sudden. By the time he reacted, the talisman had already been thrown at Night Sorrow. It was too late to stop it. "You want to kill me with an invincible monarch god talisman? You think too much." When Night Sorrow fought with Yan Jifei, he had been attacked by a divine king god talisman. Although he was seriously injured, his life was in Wu You's hands. Facing Lin Guanyu's talisman, he did the same. Although he was injured, it was not a big problem. "What? This can't kill you." Seeing that Night Sorrow had survived the talisman, Lin Guanyu roared unwillingly, "I thought." Boom. At this time, the array in the arena was activated and Lin Guanyu's divine soul was directly destroyed. The audience watching this duel all cursed. They felt that Lin Guanyu's behavior was very shameful. "Why did I encounter such a weirdo in the first duel?" Night Sorrow lamented and took out a healing elixir to recover from Lin Guanyu's injuries. After the law enforcement patriarch announced the victory, he, who had recovered from his injuries, left the arena to watch the other Tianyun School's duel. At this time, he felt a murderous intent coming from afar. Yishang raised his head and saw that it was Tan Qingfeng, the leader of the Tianqing School, staring at him from afar. "Kid, let me give you a word of advice. Only by living a long life in the God realm would one be able to fully realize their talents. You're on your own in this competition." Noticing that Yishang was looking at him, Tan Qingfeng warned him. It turned out that he was the one who gave Lin Guanyu the talisman. "Take care? Are you trying to imitate the sovereign? Unfortunately, you don't have that kind of courage." Night Sorrow, who understood Tan Qingfeng's meaning, replied disdainfully. He didn't believe that Tan Qingfeng would dare to attack him in front of so many people. Bastard. I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Let me tell you this. No matter who you meet in the next duel, as long as you win, I will do my best to kill you after the 7-sec tournament. The Tianyan school is already in its twilight years. It can't protect you. Tan Qingfeng threatened coldly. He was determined to win the feather deity competition this time. I, Knight Sorrow, have never surrendered in my life. If you want to kill me, then be prepared to face my wrath. Knight Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng without thinking. However, he had already started to think of a countermeasure. Although he didn't choose to compromise when threatened by a divine king, one could imagine the pressure in his heart. The Tianyan school's sect master was missing. The Tianyan school's Zhuangqing, the divine king, shouldn't be a match for Tan Qingfeng. This was a very serious problem. Haha, your wrath. Do you think I care about the wrath of a divine feather realm ant? Do you know how insignificant you are? Do you know how powerful I am? Tan Qingfeng laughed disdainfully. Let me give you a word of advice. It's better to provoke an old man than to bully a poor young man. Knight Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng and ignored him. He went to the 4th arena next door to watch Mei Ruoshua's duel. The duel went as expected. Mei Ruoshua didn't have the slightest ability to resist. She was quickly defeated. After losing, Mei Ruoshua wasn't too dispirited. This was an expected result. Seeing Knight Sorrow in the stands, she walked out of the arena with Knight Sorrow and went to the 7th arena to watch the duel between Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li. This was the only clash of the strongest in the first round. It was exactly as everyone had expected. The 7th and 8th ranked on the Divine Feather list clashed. The battle was very intense. Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li fought for more than 2 hours. They were still evenly matched. Neither could do anything to the other. Knight Sorrow, do you think senior brother Ho will win? Mei Ruoshua asked as she watched the duel. She clasped her hands together and prayed nervously. Their strength is similar, their divine weapons are of the same grade, and their battle techniques are similar. They can't use pills to recover their divine origin energy. It depends on who has accumulated more divine origin energy. Knight Sorrow gave his opinion. Even he couldn't tell who would win. However, Knight Sorrow, who had activated the Clam Dragon's Eye, deduced a new palm technique from the moves of the 2 experts on the Divine Feather list. It was a good result. He named this palm technique the Samsara Void Palm. The palm technique was mainly based on the Samsara attribute. It was paired with the space-time attribute. As Knight Sorrow was deducing the palm technique, Yemo and Dongfang Li exchanged blows. Si Kongxiang and Yin Zheng, who had won, came to his and Mei Ruoshua's side to watch Ho Qingshan's duel. At the end of the duel, Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li had used up all their divine origin energy. They could only rely on their physical strength to fight. Their body refinement realms weren't very high. They hadn't reached the divine feather realm yet. The battle was very intense. Even after the other duels had ended, the 2 of them were still fighting. Senior brother Ho, it's not easy. Ho Qingshan, who was fighting, was bathed in blood. Mei Ruoshua's eyes turned red. Senior brother Ho, you can do it. Hang in there. You will win. Knight Sorrow, Si Kongxiang, and Yanzheng all cheered for Ho Qingshan. Off the stage, they were even more nervous than Ho Qingshan on the stage. There were more disciples watching the duel from Tianqing Gate. When they heard Knight Sorrow and the others' cheers, they started cheering for Dongfang Li. Very good. You have angered me. Ho Qingshan heard the cheers of the disciples from Tianqing Gate. He screamed and rushed toward Dongfang Li again. Qingshan, you can do it. Win or lose, the Tianyan school will be proud of you. Lu Qingyuan, who had stood up from his seat, shouted. It's useless. Junior brother Dongfang will win this duel. At this moment, Wuyo slowly walked over to Yishang and the others and coldly said. Chapter 2582. It turned out that Dongfang Li had transformed from a white wolf into a human. There was no doubt that a monster's close combat ability was much stronger than that of a human cultivator's. Seeing him transform into a 6-meter-tall white wolf, everyone from Tianyan school was worried. Even Knight Sorrow was worried about Ho Qingshan. Oh, Ho Qingshan, you are very strong. But if you don't admit defeat now, I will tear you to pieces with my fangs. Dongfang Li, who had transformed into a wolf, looked ferocious and wild. His fangs looked very scary. Admit defeat to Tianqing Gate? People from Tianyan School will never do that. Ho Qingshan, who was almost covered in blood, responded disdainfully to Dongfang Li's threat. If he had encountered people from other sects, he might not have been able to hold on until now. But Tianqing Gate's actions had completely angered him. Yes, people from Tianyan School can lose to anyone but Tianqing Gate. Lu Qingyuan, who was also angered by Tianqing Gate, shouted in the crowd. But he also knew that Ho Qingshan could not fight against Dongfang Li, who had transformed into a wolf. His heart was in his throat. Senior brother Ho, you can do it. The others were also shouting, but their voices were drowned out by the voices of the Tianqing Gate disciples. You won't admit defeat? I hope you can hold on until the end and not admit defeat. Then I can tear you to pieces. Dongfang Li, who had transformed into a white wolf, looked up to the sky and howled. He was ready to charge at Ho Qingshan. Your shouts have encouraged me. I, Ho Qingshan, will fight to the death even if I can't participate in the next round. At this time, Ho Qingshan turned his head and looked at Night Sorrow and the others who were cheering for him. He mouthed a sentence. Then he roared in an extremely wild manner, "Awaken! Sacred Ape Bloodline!" Accompanied by the roar, his body suddenly enlarged and transformed into a giant golden ape. Hua! After Ho Qingshan transformed into a giant ape, there was an uproar. Everyone in Tianqing Gate, including the gate master, the elders and the disciples who were watching the battle, was shocked. Who would have thought that Ho Qingshan, who had fought to this extent, could actually transform? Originally, they thought that Dongfang Li's transformation was already in the bag. I didn't expect you to be able to transform as well. But so what? Die. In the arena, Dongfang Li suddenly turned into a streak of light and rushed toward Ho Qingshan, who had just transformed into a giant ape. He wanted to catch him off guard. Roar! In the face of Dongfang Li's attack, Ho Qingshan roared. He took out a huge iron rod from his spatial artifact and slammed it towards Dongfang Li's white wolf form. Bang! This staff smashed hard on the white wolf's head, deforming half of its head. Ho Qingshan, who had transformed into a giant ape, continued to raise his iron rod towards the white wolf. This move seemed simple and unadorned, but its speed was shockingly fast. The white wolf was hit once again, and its spine was almost smashed into pieces. After hitting his opponent twice in a row, Ho Qingshan's momentum suddenly surged, and he continued to suppress Dongfang Li. Great! I didn't expect senior brother Ho's true form to be a holy ape. And he's so powerful. We'll definitely win this battle. Ho Qingshan's attack made Si Kongxiang cheer happily. Awesome! Lu Qingyuan's eyebrows also relaxed a lot. Mei Ruoxue, Yin Zheng and Yin Tingfei, who hadn't fought yet, were also very excited. Only Night Sorrow showed a trace of worry between his eyebrows. He used the eye of the sea serpent to see that Ho Qingshan's true form wasn't a holy ape. He was just forcibly activating his bloodline to have the opportunity to transform. This transformation was different from Dongfang Li's. Ho Qingshan wouldn't last long before he returned to his human form. If he couldn't defeat Dongfang Li quickly, he would be in great danger. He probably wouldn't even have the strength to surrender after the transformation ended. Junior brother Dongfang, don't fight him head-on. Waste time with him. It won't be long before he suffers the backlash of the transformation. When that time comes, it'll be easy for you to kill him. At this moment, Wu Yu, who had also seen through Ho Qingshan's strength, shouted. After shouting, Wu Yu realized that his voice was completely covered. He transmitted his voice to Dongfang Li and repeated his words. Wu Yu, you despicable person. Si Kongxiang, who had noticed Wu Yu's warning, immediately scolded him. Haha, if you've studied the rules of this year's grand competition, you'll understand that it's okay to warn people outside the competition. I'm just using the rules reasonably. How can you say that I'm despicable? There was a sneer on Wu Yu's face. The fact that the people of the Tianyan clan were upset made him feel very comfortable. After Wu Yu's warning, the heavily injured Dongfang Li regained his confidence. He used the speed of the wolf clan to wear down Ho Qingshan. Roar! Dongfang Li's movement technique was integrated with a trace of the spatial attribute. He was very fast. Ho Qingshan felt that he couldn't exert his strength. He, who had transformed into a giant ape, knew that he would soon return to his human form. He roared anxiously. Haha, what are you roaring for? When the time comes, you'll become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Wu Yu, who knew Ho Qingshan's mentality, stood beside the people from Tianyun School and laughed loudly. Yu, Lu Qingyuan and the others from Tianyun School wanted to say something, but they had nothing to say. Call him despicable and shameless? That would be useless. If you hadn't reminded him, Dongfeng Li would have won. Unfortunately, he'll definitely lose now. When you reminded him, you also reminded me. At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly laughed. After activating the eye of the sea serpent, he began to carefully observe Dongfeng Li's movement technique. After completely seeing through Dongfeng Li's movement technique, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Ho Qingshan. Senior Brother Ho, listen to my command for your next attack. Hit wherever I tell you to. Ho Qingshan, who had transformed into a giant golden ape, was stunned for a moment. Then he responded, Okay, I'll listen to you. In the following battle, with Night Sorrow's command, Ho Qingshan was able to see through Dongfeng Li's movement technique every time and successfully hit him. Not long after, Dongfeng Li was completely knocked out. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. Good hit. Iron Rod is mighty. Dongfeng Li, who had transformed into a giant wolf, was completely knocked out. The referee immediately stopped Ho Qingshan's next attack and announced that he had won. Hearing the referee announce his victory, Ho Qingshan couldn't hold on any longer. He transformed back into his human form and collapsed on the stage. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, defeated the 7th on the Feather God list and successfully advanced to the next round. While the Tianyun School students were wildly celebrating, they all flew onto the stage. Senior Brother Ho, how are you? This is an elixir that can quickly recover your God Essence energy and heal your injuries. Hurry up and take it. Night Sorrow knew that Ho Qingshan didn't even have the strength to move. He hurriedly took out an elixir and stuffed it into his mouth. If you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have won this battle. 8th place is still a bit weaker than 7th place. The Feather God list's rankings are correct. The extremely weak Ho Qingshan recovered a bit after taking the elixir. Chapter 2583. Senior Brother Ho. Other than Junior Sister who met a strong opponent and lost, the others have advanced to the next round. Mei Ruoxiue, who had been eliminated, was afraid that others would be too embarrassed to mention this matter, so she directly said it. Although she had been eliminated, she was still in a good mood. So many people from Tianyun School had advanced to the next round. Very good. 4 people from Tianyun School have advanced to the top 16. And there's still a chance for them to advance further. We're already halfway to success in this 7-sec tournament. Senior Brother forcefully activated his bloodline, so he won't be able to participate in the next round. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Ho Qingshan had a smile on his face. Although he couldn't participate in the next round, he was satisfied that he had eliminated the second strongest person from Tianqing Gate, Dongfeng Li. Senior Brother, we won't let you down. Si Kongxiang quickly responded. However, he wasn't very confident about the next round. His strength was ranked last in the top 16 of the Feather Gods group. Everyone did very well. The next round will be held in 3 days. Let's go back and adjust. 5 people participated in the battle, and 4 of them advanced to the top 16. This made Lu Qingyuan very happy. After saying this, he personally helped Ho Qingshan up. Bastards. Bastards. I get angry when I see the people from Tianyun School. In the distance, looking at the people of the Tianyun clan who were in high spirits, Tan Qingfeng, the master of the Tianqing clan, was so angry that his face turned pale. Lin Tianxi, the genius who had been killed by Mu Baiyu in Tianqing Gate, was his direct disciple. That was why Tianqing Gate was so against Tianyun School. Haha, Brother Yi, Tianyi is here to congratulate you on behalf of the Starry Sky Pavilion for your excellent results in Tianyun School. Night Sorrow and the others had just come out of the arena when Yin Tianyi, who had joined the Starry Sky Pavilion, came over to congratulate them with a smile. Haha, look at your happy face. You must have advanced as well, right? How are the results of the Heavenly Star Pavilion? How many people have advanced? The smile on Yin Tiany's face was almost uncontrollable. Night Sorrow asked with a smile. Bree. Other than me and senior brother Qing Song, there's also senior sister Chen Yin. Haha. Our two sects have taken 7 spots in the top 16. That's almost half of the top 16. Tan Qingfeng's face must be very ugly right now. Yin Tiany said with a smile. He clasped his hands and said gratefully, I still have to thank Brother Yi for taking me to the cave to obtain opportunities. Otherwise, I would barely have the strength to enter the Divine Feathers list. This is your own destiny. There's no need to thank me. If there's nothing else, why don't our two sects celebrate together? Night Sorrow said with a smile. The people of the Starry Sky Pavilion were loyal. He admired them and was willing to interact with them. Of course. I feel that no matter who it is, as long as they come into contact with you, they will have good luck. Yin Tiany said with deep feelings. Ever since he met Night Sorrow, his luck and strength had been constantly increasing. Haha, I think so too. Si Kongxiang heard Yin Tiany say so and also joined in the fun. Ever since I met Brother Yi, my luck has been very good. I actually drew the weakest one. If you say so, I think that's true. After thinking about his own situation, Lu Qingyuan also nodded. After he met Night Sorrow, he won Yan Fangling back. What was done could not be undone. He was in a very good mood. Moreover, after it happened, Yan Fangling gradually got used to it. She was not as resistant to him as she was at the beginning. Seeing that Ho Qingshan was about to say something, Night Sorrow hurriedly stopped him. That's enough. That's enough. Let's go meet up with our friends from the Starry Sky Pavilion. Everyone saw that Night Sorrow was a little embarrassed and all of them laughed. The results of Tianyan School and the Starry Sky Pavilion were quite good, and no disciples were killed. They drank to their heart's content in the evening. On this day, the people of Tianyan School did not return to their residence. Instead, they stayed at the mountain where the Starry Sky Pavilion was located. However, the next day, the people of Tianyan School were all furious when they heard a piece of news. The High God State disciples of Tianyan School who stayed at the station to cultivate were unexpectedly attacked by a group of mysterious people that night. Including the few elders who stayed behind, a total of 11 people of Tianyan School were seriously injured. The incident happened at Tianqing Gate. They must be the ones who attacked. However, our negotiation will be of no use. The only thing we can do is to completely defeat them in the 7 Sects tournament. Looking at the injured elders and disciples of Tianyan School, Lu Qingyuan said angrily, I hope that the 3 of you will not show mercy if you encounter people from Tianqing Gate. Elder Lu, don't worry. If I encounter people from Tianqing Gate, I will kill them directly. Other than Wu Yu, the rest of the people from Tianqing Gate are no match for me. Yan Zheng, who was also angered by Tianqing Gate, had a fierce look on his face. I will not show mercy either. Night Sorrow also said. Tianqing Gate's actions had completely enraged him. On the second day of the tournament, the people of Tianyan School came to the tournament venue again with a murderous look on their faces. Seeing them like this, Wu Yu from Tianqing Gate walked over with a smile on his face. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, What's wrong? The people of Tianyan School all look gloomy. Did you not rest well? Wu Yu, you better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, you won't even have the chance to beg for mercy. Night Sorrow glanced at Wu Yu with disdain, and then walked with the people of Tianyan School to their seats. Why are you so arrogant? Do you really think that I, Wu Yu, am afraid of you? If the sect leader didn't stop me, I would have killed you. Watching the people of the Tianyan clan leave, Wu Yu's brows were furrowed with a trace of viciousness. The people of Tianyan School did not continue to pay attention to him. After reaching their seats, Night Sorrow and the others waited where they were, while Lu Qingyuan continued to represent Tianyan School to participate in the drawing of lots. Sigh. I really hope that the people of Tianyan School will draw me. The people of Starry Sky Pavilion can do it too. Even if they can't, the fairies of Tianxian sect can do it too. I can't let the other sects take advantage of me. Ho Qingshan, who looked very pale, kept praying that he would not meet the people of Tianqing Gate while waiting for the drawing of lots. Otherwise, he would be in a very bad mood. This time, the cultivators who advanced to the top 16. Tianyuan School had the most with 4. The second was Tianqing Pavilion, with 3 people who advanced. Tianqing Gate, Tianxian Sect, and Tianwu Pavilion each had 2 people advance. Tianyuan School had only 1 person advance to the top 16 because of Yao Shi's withdrawal. It was Xianyuan Changya, who was ranked 6th on the God of Feathers list. Hearing Ho Qingshan's words, Si Kongxiang comforted him. The other 4 sects only have 7 people advance. The chances of you drawing them are not high. Even he, who had a cheerful personality, did not smile today, which showed the determination of the people of Tianyuan School. After about an hour, the results of this round of drawing lots were announced. Chapter 2584. Ho Qingshan, who couldn't fight, was picked by Si Kongxiang. Si Kongxiang said in disbelief, I advanced to the top 8 just like that. Haha. I can't fight, so of course you advance. Ho Qingshan patted Si Kongxiang's shoulder and said, looks like my efforts in the last round were worth it. Otherwise, Dongfeng Li would have advanced to the top 8. You're probably not his match. If I admitted defeat a moment later, I would have been killed by him. Si Kongxiang nodded, then asked, Senior Brother Ho, what's your best result in the 7-sect tournament? The highest I've ever gotten was 9th. This is my 10th time participating in the tournament, and according to the rules, this will be my last. My final result will be this number. Ho Qingshan sighed, then said with relief, but this time, my Tianyuan School has a high chance of getting first place in the group tournament. This will fulfill my dream. As for my individual results, I'll wait until I'm on the divine roll. Si Kongxiang thought for a moment after hearing Ho Qingshan's words, then said, Senior brother, this is my first time participating in the 7-sect tournament, so my results don't matter. I'll withdraw from our duel, and let you enter the top 8. You defeated Dongfeng Li, so you deserve to be in the top 8. No. If I advance, I won't be able to fight at all. Ho Qingshan hurriedly declined. In his current state, even if he advanced to the top 8, he wouldn't be able to fight at all. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all on the same side. Let's not be calculative. Senior brother won't be able to fight, but it's the same for junior brother. How can there be anyone weaker than me in the top 8? Si Kongxiang shrugged. He was already satisfied to be in the top 16. Senior apprentice brother, since Si Kongxiang has said so, then don't decline. You defeated Dongfeng Li, so you deserve to be in the top 8. Mei Ruoxue also tried to persuade him. Senior martial brother Ho, just agree. We've all seen what you've done for Tianyuan School. Ho Qingshan refused to nod, and even Night Sorrow tried to persuade her. What am I supposed to do? Ho Qingshan's eyes reddened unconsciously after being comforted by the crowd. Entering the top 8 of the 7-sects tournament had always been his goal. However, due to the limitations of his sex strength, he had been suppressed every time. Senior brother, you don't have to be so polite. It's decided then. Si Kongxiang patted Ho Qingshan's shoulder and continued. I was just paying attention to my own signature. Who are your opponents? My luck is not bad. My opponent is the weakest of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, Chen Yun. Yanzheng was the first to respond. Influenced by the others in the sect, especially after Night Sorrow's intimidation, he was no longer as arrogant as before. Haha, my opponent is Xianyuan Changya from Tianyuan School. I seem to be fated with Tianyuan School. At the mention of his opponent, Yishang had a helpless expression. Xianyuan Changya basically followed Wu Yu's lead and did not have the spirit of the top disciple of the sect at all. This left a bad impression on him. Faced with such an opponent, he would not show mercy at all. It was also the 3rd arena, and the opponent was also from Tianyuan School. Night Sorrow, who walked into the arena, could not help but think of Lin Guanyu, who had used the divine talisman on him, and secretly became wary. Night Sorrow, I Xianyuan Changya, am no match for you. However, I will help brother Wu Yu test your limits. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure appear in the arena, Xianyuan Changya, who had already heard that he was ranked third on the God of Feathers list, immediately glared at him. Did Tianyuan school rely on Tianqing Gate, or did Xianyuan Changya rely on Wuyu? Night Sorrow, who was standing in the arena, asked Xianyuan Changya in a non-committal manner. What do you know? My sect is helping Tianqing Gate in the God of Feathers list, while Tianqing Gate is helping Tianyuan school in the deity group. This is something that both sects have discussed long ago. I heard that you want to participate in the deity group competition. You will understand why I am doing this then. Xianyuan Changya had a look of disdain on his face, as he felt that Night Sorrow did not know anything. In fact, the top expert in Tianyuan school's deity group was called Wu Li, who was Wu Yu's biological brother. Both of them were from the same family as Wu Xian, but they had joined Tianyuan school and Tianqing Gate respectively. If that's the case, make your move. Night Sorrow wanted to end the battle quickly, so that he could watch Yin Zheng's battle. He did not want to waste time talking to Xianyuan Changya, so he asked him to make his move immediately. Alright. Xianyuan Changya knew that he was no match for Night Sorrow, so he did not hold back. Instead, he took out a long sword from his spatial Dharma artifact. The hilt of the long sword was about the same length as the heavenly halberd of reincarnation. The blade was very short, but it gave off a cold glow. Its murderous intent was terrifying. Ice Dragon Sky Slashing Sword. After taking out the long sword, Xianyuan Changya immediately slashed at Night Sorrow. This was one of his most powerful techniques. You are weaker than Yin Jifei. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, saw Xianyuan Changya's dozens of sword shadows slashing at him continuously. He did not choose to take the attack head-on, nor did he take out the heavenly halberd of reincarnation, which had been upgraded to a Sir God-level weapon. Instead, he used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to dodge the attacks calmly and hit Xianyuan Changya with his palm. This was the Void Reincarnation Palm that he had comprehended after watching the battle between Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li. The palm technique was mainly based on the reincarnation attribute, which was perfect when used together with the Void Extreme Shadow Body. His speed was completely above Xianyuan Changya's. At this moment, Xianyuan Changya had not completely stopped his attack, so he could not avoid it at all. He was hit hard in the chest. Boom. Xianyuan Changya, who was sent flying, flew out of the ring. Oh no! I will be eliminated if I fly out. Xianyuan Changya's body was hit by the palm. Although he was protected by the defensive robe, his chest caved in directly, which looked terrifying. However, he could not care less about the pain. He immediately gathered his divine essence to stop his body from flying backward. Finally, he slowly stopped at the edge of the ring. Fortunately, I am not eliminated directly. Otherwise, I would not be able to complete the task. After stabilizing his body, Xianyuan Changya secretly took out a talisman and imprinted it on his palm. The spectators who were watching the battle initially thought that it would be a clash of the strong, and were looking forward to a fierce battle like the one between Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li. Seeing that Night Sorrow had beaten Xianyuan Changya to such a state as soon as he attacked, they immediately exclaimed in shock. At this moment, the disciples of the Tianqing sect, including the disciples of the Tianqing sect, finally understood Yi Shang's strength. They even began to worry for Wuyo. Ahem. Yi Shang, don't think that I, Xianyuan Changya, will retreat just because you've succeeded in one strike. Let me tell you, this battle has only just begun. Xianyuan Changya, who was coughing out blood, gently stroked his chest with his palm that had a talisman attached to it. The injury on his chest soon recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Judge. If I'm not wrong, he is using a divine talisman to heal his injuries. Isn't that against the rules? Night Sorrow had the eyes of the sea serpent, so he could naturally see through Xianyuan Changya's tricks. He spoke to the judge. During the 7-sect grand competition, divine artifacts could be used, but items such as pills and divine talismans were prohibited. Once they were used, they would be disqualified from the competition. In serious cases, they would be killed by the array like Lin Guanyu. However, after Night Sorrow realized the problem, the judge said coldly. However, the referee said with a cold expression, Yi Shang, if you continue to slander your opponent, you will be disqualified from the competition. Okay. I understand. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately understood that the judge for today's competition was arranged by Tianqing Gate. Chapter 2585. Haha. You've heard me clearly. Then you'll have to bear my wrath. Xianyuan Changye roared and struck again with the Ice Dragon Sky-Slashing Blade. It was the same move as the previous one, but the power was vastly different. Yao Shi had left the Tianxian school because of Night Sorrow, and Lin Guanyu had also died because of Night Sorrow. Hence, Xianyuan Changye resented Night Sorrow very much. Besides, he had the support of the sect master of Tianqing Gate and obtained special means. Hence, he was very confident. The power has changed. It seems that the talisman can not only heal injuries, but also increase the strength of cultivators. Despite Night Sorrow's powerful strength, he dared not underestimate him and hence took out the reincarnation heavenly halberd to fight against him. At this point, he no longer prayed for the referee to give a fair verdict. With the help of the Sea Serpent Eye, Night Sorrow could see the trajectory of the Ice Dragon Sky-Slashing Blade. He managed to block the attack without using any spear techniques. He then suppressed Xianyuan Changye again, leaving him with no chance to attack. Forbidden Spear. After taking out the reincarnation heavenly halberd, Night Sorrow regained the upper hand and found an opportunity to launch the Forbidden Spear. The spear seemed simple and ordinary, but in fact, it was filled with the aura of destruction. So what if it's a forbidden spear? I have a forbidden artifact too. Faced with the attack, Xianyuan Changye roared and cast a secret technique to increase his strength to the maximum and condense his divine essence. He took out a shield-shaped secret treasure with his left hand and activated it to block the forbidden spear. The shield was entwined with the power of thunder and lightning. Every time the lightning flashed, it would form a protective film on the surface of the shield. On the other hand, he controlled the long saber with his right hand and slashed it at Night Sorrow again. Compared to the previous two attacks, the power of this attack was increased again. His strength seems to be increasing continuously. I wonder how he's doing it. Faced with Xianyuan Changye's attack and defense, Night Sorrow, who was wary of Xianyuan Changye, did not change the trajectory of the forbidden spear. Instead, he used the reincarnation heavenly halberd to stab the shield that was glowing with lightning. On the other hand, he cast the divine essence dragon locking array and temporarily blocked Xianyuan Changye's attack. Boom! The moment the heavenly samsara halberd pierced the shield, there was an earth-shattering boom in the arena. The spectators couldn't help but cry out in surprise. When the light from the collision disappeared, they saw that Xianyuan Changye's defensive shield had already been shattered. As the owner of the shield, he was also sent flying. It was even worse than when he was hit by Night Sorrow's Void Samsara palm. The defensive robe on his body was already damaged beyond recognition. The blow that Xianyuan Changye threw out with his long saber naturally dissipated. After fusing with the Divine King's heavenly martial soul battle spear, the heavenly samsara halberd's power was close to that of a king-grade divine artifact, even though it had only become a divine lord-grade divine artifact. If not for Night Sorrow's divine essence energy being exceedingly vast, he would most likely be drained dry with a single attack. You are indeed very strong, but not strong enough to kill me. I will slowly find an opportunity to kill you. Xianyuan Changye, whose power had been increasing, smirked coldly. The injuries on his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Feeling the surge of divine essence energy in his body, he, who had only wanted to help Wu Yu test out Night Sorrow's power, felt that he had a chance to turn the tables. Could it be a Divine King-grade divine talisman, or a Divine King-grade elixir pill? Xianyuan Changye's condition was very strange. Night Sorrow couldn't figure out what was going on, but he definitely couldn't let it go on like this. Although his divine essence energy was vast, there would eventually be a limit. However, Xianyuan Changye's power seemed to increase every time he recovered. Moreover, his divine essence energy would also increase. Night Sorrow, who couldn't figure out the reason, could vaguely feel the immense pressure. While he despised Xianyuan Changye, a strong killing intent rose in his heart. Although Xianyuan Changye's method was despicable, the effect was indeed very powerful. He couldn't delay it any longer. How is it? Are you afraid? It won't be long before my strength completely surpasses yours. You will definitely lose today. Xianyuan Changye mocked Night Sorrow with a maniacal smile on his face. In fact, the process of speaking was also a way to delay. He felt that as long as he continued to delay, he would have a chance to turn the tables on Night Sorrow. That reminds me. It seems that I have to kill a bunch of despicable and shameless people like you in one blow. Originally, you were going to lose to me, but you just had to court death. Night Sorrow's face gradually turned cold. He knew that things were just like what Xianyuan Changye had said. If he continued to delay, he would very likely lose. At the moment, the best way was to kill him in one blow. He performed the Treastrimsa battle mystic technique and increased his power tenfold. He waved his hand and struck out with the reincarnation strike. This strike pierced through time and space so quickly that Xianyuan Changye couldn't dodge it. What's going on? Xianyuan Changye, who was still provoking Night Sorrow a moment ago, was just about to dodge his strongest attack when he was trapped by the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. His expression changed immediately. Xianyuan Changye could clearly sense the impending danger, but he couldn't break through the shackles of the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. In a moment, the heavenly halberd of reincarnation plunged down from the sky. Boom! In an instant, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Xianyuan Changye, who was still provoking Night Sorrow, had his dantian shattered. His divine soul wanted to escape, but it was destroyed by Night Sorrow's heavenly halberd of reincarnation. Xianyuan Changye's divine soul was destroyed before he even had the chance to beg for mercy. At the same time, a divine talisman that was emitting golden light flew out of his body. Is this the divine talisman that's causing trouble? Stay here. Night Sorrow waved his hand and immediately grabbed the divine talisman that was trying to fly away. After he did that, the spectators finally understood what had happened. Xianyuan Changye, who was ranked 6th on the God of Feathers list, was actually killed by Night Sorrow in one blow. Damn it! Even that can't stop you? Seeing that Xianyuan Changye had been killed by Night Sorrow, the sect master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng's face immediately grew sullen. The sect master of Tianxian School didn't attend the Battle of the God of Feathers group during the 7-sect tournament. He would only be there when the Battle of the God of Feathers group began. Now that 2 disciples of Tianxian School had died and one of them had quit, it would be difficult for him to answer to the sect master of Tianxian School. However, even though Tan Qingfeng was upset, he couldn't bear to let Night Sorrow get his hands on the Divine King-level Divine Talisman. He immediately said coldly, "Night Sorrow, return the Divine Talisman to me immediately. Otherwise you'll be crippled tonight. Return the Divine Talisman to you, so that you can give it to Wuyo to continue dealing with me? Tan Qingfeng, let me tell you, I'd rather use this Divine Talisman as a shoe pad than return it to you." Tan Qingfeng had already resorted to unscrupulous means in order to deal with him. How could Night Sorrow be willing to return it? Hence he retorted in disdain. Chapter 2586. It seems that you don't even care about your face anymore. Then we have nothing to say. After sending another message to Tan Qingfeng, Night Sorrow and Lu Qingyuan went to watch Yan Zheng's battle together. In this battle, Yan Zheng's opponent was Heavenly Star Pavilion's Chen Yun. She wasn't very strong and he had been taking the initiative, so it was only a matter of time before he advanced. After watching for a while, Lu Qingyuan saw that Night Sorrow's face didn't look too good, so he immediately asked with concern, "Night Sorrow, what's wrong? Is something wrong?" Tan Qingfeng threatened me and said that he would attack me tonight. Night Sorrow told him about Tan Qingfeng's threat. Lu Qingyuan had been watching the battle just now, so he knew that Xianyuan Changye had used the Divine Talisman. When Night Sorrow mentioned it casually, he understood what was going on. This is blatantly despicable and shameless. We can't just sit and wait for death. Lu Qingyuan sighed, then sent a message to the Divine King Zhuangqing in the space artifact. "Elder Zhuang, how do you think we should solve this matter? If Tan Qingfeng personally attacked, I'm afraid I can't stop him. If he sends someone else, then there's still a chance. Moreover, we can use this matter to publicize his evil deeds. Let Night Sorrow come in later, we'll discuss countermeasures." The divine king Zhuangqing had been in Lu Qingyuan's space artifact this whole time, so he was very angry when he saw how Tianyun's school was treated. But he needed to hide and wait to deal with Soaring Heaven sect, so he could only suppress his anger. Yes, Elder Zhuang. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan nodded. Knight Sorrow said, Elder Zhuang wants to talk to you about countermeasures. Although Tan Qingfeng's character isn't good, he's very strong and not easy to deal with. We can't be careless about this matter. This matter is a crisis, but it's also an opportunity. If we use it well, we can publicize Tan Qingfeng's dirty deeds to the world. With the divine king Zhuangqing and many elders hiding in the dark, Knight Sorrow was confident in his own safety. Moreover, he felt that Tan Qingfeng wouldn't do it himself. As long as he didn't personally, even if he sent the divine king's strength, it wouldn't be much of a threat. Thank you. I didn't control my strength. Please forgive me. At this moment, Yan Zheng successfully defeated Chen Yun. He helped Chen Yun up, and at the same time apologized for using too much strength. After all, he's Zhuang's Yanziz's. As a cultivator, it was unavoidable to be injured in a duel. I'd like to congratulate the Tianyun clan in advance for winning the Divine Feather Division. A trace of a smile appeared on Chen Yun's pale face. After today's competition, a total of 3 people from Tianyun School had advanced to the top 8. No matter what the results of the competition were in the future, Tianyun School would be the sect champion. Only the individual champion was left to be determined. Thank you, Junior. Sister Chen. Yin Zhuangqing wanted to thank Sister Chen, but he felt that it was impolite to address a woman as an elder, so he changed it to Sister Chen. Haha. You're quite interesting. Chen Yun smiled, waved, and left with the people from the Starry Sky Pavilion. At this moment, Knight Sorrow and Lu Qingyuan walked to Yan Zhuangqing and congratulated him for advancing to the top 8. His strength should be between the 10th and 15th place on the God of Feathers list. Luck played a part in his advancement. I agree with Si Kongxiang's words. Anyone who interacts with Brother Knight Sorrow will be lucky. Yan Zhuangqing smiled. In his opinion, strength was the most important thing among the disciples. Calling Knight Sorrow brother wasn't inappropriate. If he hadn't picked Chen Yun, he would have definitely been eliminated. Because the other winners were Tianqing Gates Wuyu, Heavenly Celestial Gates Shang Su Yan, Heavenly Martial Pavilions Yan Jifei, Heavenly Star Pavilions Ao Qingsong, and Soaring Heaven Sects Wen Tianhe. These people were the top 5 on the God of Feathers list before Knight Sorrow appeared. They were definitely strong and weren't people he could deal with. Haha. Yin Zhuangqing, you're too humble. In my opinion, you'll soon become one of the top 10 masters on the God of Feathers list. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He knew that Knight Sorrow and the others would soon choose to break through to the High God realm. When that happened, there would be many empty spots on the God of Feathers list. Knight Sorrow said politely to Yin Zhuangqing. He wasn't used to being called brother. After that, the 3 of them met up with the others and prepared to return to the encampment. Something might happen tonight. Knight Sorrow didn't want to involve the people from the Heavenly Star Pavilion, so he didn't look for them. However, just as the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle left the mountain where the competition was held, it encountered the flying artifact of the Heavenly Celestial Gate. Seeing the people from the Tianyun School, Shang Suyen smiled and greeted Knight Sorrow. She then transmitted her voice. Brother Yi, I heard that you obtained something good in the arena. Can you give it to me? Give it to you? What do you mean? Knight Sorrow was obviously surprised. Shang Suyen was too direct. Last time, she asked him to go easy on him in the competition. This time, she directly asked for a king-grade divine talisman. You can't keep this divine talisman. Why don't you give it to me? I can give you a life-saving talisman. My life-saving talisman is very precious. I only have 9 of them. Giving you one is equivalent to losing one of my lives. Shang Suyan's face showed a trace of confidence. She felt that her life-saving talisman was no worse than a king-grade divine talisman. Okay, I agree to give it to you. However, with this matter and the competition, I've already cleared my debt to you. After pondering for a while, Knight Sorrow replied to Shang Suyen. He was afraid that she would run out of fun and ask for something good whenever she met him. You're quite interesting. How can I rely on you? Shang Su Yen received Night Sorrow's transmission and flew to the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle to make a deal with Night Sorrow. She saw the two of them exchanging things. Si Kongxiang smiled and teased. When did the two of you become so familiar? Are you exchanging tokens? Hearing this, the people from the Tianyan School and the Heavenly Celestial Gate all roared with laughter. What are you guys doing? Do you believe that I won't teach you guys a lesson when we get back? Although Shang Su Yen was natural and unrestrained, she still blushed after being teased by dozens of people. She immediately returned to the Heavenly Celestial Gate's flying artifact. Night Sorrow, who had received the divine talisman, was a little surprised. He realized that the divine talisman in his hand seemed to have a stronger aura than the king-grade divine talisman. However, he didn't know how to activate it or what it did. Grand Elder Zhuang, can you tell what this divine talisman does? Night Sorrow and the others from the Tianyan school chatted for a while before entering Lu Qiangyuan's spatial artifact to meet the divine king Zhuangqing. This seems to be the aura of a sovereign. The divine king Zhuangqing took the divine talisman and glanced at it. He then handed it to Night Sorrow and said, "This is your karma. Take it back." He didn't want to have any misunderstandings with a sovereign. Sovereign? Does Shang Su Yen really know Sovereign Qingyin? Chapter 2587. Although the Tianqing Gate was huge, Night Sorrow and the others were able to return quickly with the help of the Skycloud shuttle. Night Sorrow, Zhuangqing, and the Divine King discussed their strategy. They began to set up a trap array around the Tianyan school's camp. He had set up this array for Lu Qingyuan and the others before. Night Sorrow took out the Crimson Golden Dragon insignia from Wen Zhengping and used it as the core of the array. The trapping array setup might not have much of an effect on godly monarchs, but a godly lord would definitely become a turtle in a jar. Even a divine lord like Lu Qingyuan would be greatly affected. Alright. Everything is set up. Half of the Tianyan school's forces are here. We should be able to resist the Tianqing Gate. Night Sorrow finished setting up the array and said, "Now that the array is set up, let's celebrate today's victory. With 3 people in the top 8, I believe that the champion of the Feather God group will be our Tianyan school. Yes. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. We've prepared everything. Now let's drink and celebrate." Lu Qingyuan ordered the accompanying cooks to prepare food and wine while the others gathered in the courtyard. They set up the tables and chairs and prepared to celebrate in the open air. The Tianyan school's victory in the 7-sect tournament could be traced back to Mu Baiyu's era. He was already one of the best divine lords. Today's victory had to be celebrated no matter what. First of all, I would like to thank the 6 disciples of the Feather God group. It was because of you that our Tianyan school was able to take first place in the Feather God group tournament. Let me give you a toast. After the wine and dishes were prepared, Lu Qingyuan, who was leading the team, raised his glass and said, "Haha, Elder Lu, I'm the same as Yin Tingfei. We're all riding on the coattails of victory. Let's toast to Night Sorrow, Yin Zheng, Senior Ho, and Si Kongxiang." Mei Ruoxue smiled and raised her cup. "It's all the same. To all of you. Also, the disciples of the High Gods group, you have to work hard too." Lu Qiangyuan drank the wine and looked at Mu Qingyu. "Mu Qingyu, you're Mu Baiyu's younger brother. You've always lived in his shadow. I know this, but you have your own life. This sect tournament is your chance to prove yourself. With Night Sorrow here, you have to make the most of it. Elder, I'll do my best. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to lead the team to the first place, but this time, even if I have to risk my life, I won't let the Tianyan clan be at the bottom again. Senior brother Qingyu, once the competition is over, I'll choose to break through to the Paramount God level. I'll help you then." Mu Qingyu's Divine King of Feather God Group was the Feather God Group's results. Although he definitely wouldn't be as strong as the Divine Feather Clan after breaking through, he definitely wouldn't be too weak, and he was confident that he could help the Tianyan clan get rid of the embarrassment of being at the bottom. With Mu Qingyu's words, I can rest assured. Mu Qingyu nodded at Yi Shang and raised his cup in a toast. "Let's do our best." Night Sorrow said to Mu Qingyu before looking at Yin Zheng and Ho Qingshan. "We've already won the sect tournament. We still have to work hard for our individual results. Here's to you. Hee, you'll definitely be first in the individual results. Ho Qingshan smiled. I'm already satisfied with being in the top 8. It's my first time participating in the 7-sect grand competition, and I'm already satisfied to be able to enter the top 8. Yin Zheng's face revealed a rare smile. Mei Ruoxue, who was good at singing and dancing, took out her zither and played a song. The atmosphere became even more lively. Unknowingly, 6 to 8 hours had passed. It was already midnight, and the sky was completely dark. Everyone pretended to return to their rooms, but they were all on high alert. Especially Zhuangqing, the Divine King, and the others in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact. They were all ready to attack. They're here. There's a total of 7 people. A Divine King and 6 Sir Gods, but I can't determine their cultivation level. After about 2 hours, Knight Sorrow transmitted a message to everyone. He had discovered 7 people in black through the array he had set up. Stay calm. As long as it's not the Divine King, everything will be fine. Zhuangqing, the Divine King, who had already come out of Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, transmitted a message to Knight Sorrow. As for the disciples below the Sir God realm, except for Knight Sorrow, they had all been kept in the spatial artifact. They're here. Knight Sorrow continued to remind everyone. At this moment, Zhuangqing, the Divine King, asked, Is the image crystal set up? It's set up very secretly. It shouldn't be discovered. Knight Sorrow nodded in response. At this moment, the Divine King, who had barged into the courtyard, said coldly, People of Tianyan School, hand over Knight Sorrow. Otherwise I, the Divine King, will kill all of you. Who are you? Do you really think the Tianyan School is easy to bully? Lu Qingyuan was the first to step forward. You can't stop me. Hurry up and hand over Yishang. Otherwise, everyone here today will die. The masked black-clothed Divine King threatened with killing intent. Grand Supreme Zhuang, what's his cultivation level? At this moment Knight Sorrow, who was beside Zhuangqing, asked. Zhuangqing, the Divine King, said with a relaxed expression, Don't worry. He's just a low-level Divine King, so he should be weaker than me. These shrimps won't be able to do anything. You were sent by the Gate Master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, to deal with me? Knight Sorrow slowly walked out of the room. In terms of strength he had the upper hand, and with the support of the trapping array, the other party was like a turtle in a jar. Yes, so what? So what if I'm not? Today, your cultivation will definitely be crippled. Hurry up and hand over the Divine Talisman, and I, the Divine King, will spare you some pain. The masked, black-clothed Divine King didn't know that the Divine King was in Tianyan School. He continued to threaten. Lin Pingsa, so it's you. Your Tianqing Gate sent the Divine King to deal with my Tianyan School's feather god. Can you be any more shameless? After discovering the identity of the newcomer, the Divine King, Zhuangqing, came out of the room, no longer concealing his aura. Zhuangqing, I didn't expect you to come too. Seeing Zhuangqing come out of the room, Lin Pingsa didn't panic at all. He sneered. Zhuangqing, don't forget where you are now. If you dare to stop me from destroying his cultivation today, you will never be able to go back to Tianyan School. How arrogant. It doesn't matter if I go back or not. Today, I will take you down first, you shameless bastard. As a godly king, Zhuangqing was infuriated at being threatened in such a manner. He shouted, Attack. The number of masters from Tianqing Gate was limited. The Cloud Sky sect didn't let Lu Qingyuan's Space Dharma artifact show up. Zhuangqing took Knight Sorrow, Lu Qingyuan, and 10 other law-enforcing elders to fight with the other party. Zhuangqing, how dare you? Don't forget that your Tianyan School's Gate Master is missing. No one can resist Gate Master Tan's power anymore. Seeing Zhuangqing attack, Lin Pingsa immediately frowned. He was afraid that if things got out of hand, it would alert the other sections. Although Tianqing Gate was shameless enough, he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Is this why you bully my Tianyan School? Zhuangqing asked coldly. Then he said firmly, Do it. Okay. Chapter 2588. Grand Elder Zhuang, the trapping array has been activated. The The senior immortals will be suppressed by at least 30 to 40%, and their speed will be halved. Night Sorrow reminded Zhuangqing and the Divine King of the trapping array. Hearing the news, the Divine King of Zhuangqing praised, "Great! Today's battle will be a piece of cake for us." At the same time, he attacked the Divine King of Tianqing Gate, Lin Pingsa. "Let's take down their senior immortals." Lu Qingyuan shouted, and led 10 deacon elders to attack the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate. Under the suppression of Night Sorrow's trapping array, the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate soon realized that something was wrong. Liang Junhua, an elder of Tianqing Gate, immediately shouted, "Grand Elder Lin, not good. There is a trapping array here. Our strength is severely suppressed." In fact, he was trying to tell Lin Pingsa that they were no match for him. However, he couldn't say that in front of the Tianyan school. "I have sensed it. Don't be afraid. This is Tianqing Gate. Our backup will be here soon." Lin Pingsa, who was as strong as Zhuangqing, was fighting with all his strength. He couldn't take care of Liang Junhua and the others, but he crushed a soul crystal in his hand. Tianqing Gate is so shameless. Qing Yuan, end this quickly and take all of them as hostages. Also, send someone to inform the other sects and let them see the true colors of Tianqing Gate. Seeing Lin Pingsa crush the soul crystal, the Divine King of Zhuangqing frowned. They were in Tianqing Gate now. If another Divine King came, things would be very troublesome. Night Sorrow, inform the Starry Sky Pavilion and the Tianxian sect. If their people appeared, the Clear Sky Society would definitely have scruples. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to solve today's crisis. Lu Qingyuan immediately transmitted his voice. He knew that Night Sorrow had a good relationship with these 2 sections. As for Tianxian School, Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Soaring Heaven Sect and Tianqing Gate, there was no need to inform them. "Elder Lu, I think that since they've decided to make a move, they must have isolated the area we're in. It's impossible for them to notify the other sections. What we need to do now is to capture the people from Tianqing Gate and use them to threaten them." Night Sorrow said. Tianqing Gate was very strong, but in terms of background, the Divine King should not have many. If they could take down Lin Pingsa and the 6 Divine Monarch level elders, then the matter would be easily resolved. If he rashly went out to report, it was very likely that he would be caught immediately. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yes. What you said makes sense. It's this elder who didn't consider it thoroughly. But the Divine King is not easy to capture. We have to control the other party's Divine Monarchs. Lu Qingyuan replied to Night Sorrow, then used a secret technique to increase his strength and continued to fight with the Tianqing Gate elders. "How come the other party's strength has been weakened so much? My sect's elders can't take them down quickly." However, after watching for a while, Night Sorrow knew that the situation was not good. The Tianyun School's law enforcement elders seemed to be weaker than the other party. They could only suppress the other party in the confinement array, but it would be difficult to capture them quickly. As for the elders in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, it involved the problem of returning home and the stability of the Tianyun School's rear. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they could not be exposed. Got it. Although there's a gap in strength between me and these half-step Divine King, I can still see the difference in strength. But I can use the Eye of the Mirage Dragon to warn the other elders. Night Sorrow, who was observing the battle, activated the Eye of the Mirage Dragon and paid attention to the Tianqing Gate elders' moves. Then he sent a message to the Tianyun School's law enforcement elders. Under his command, the Tianyun School's elders' combat strength increased by a large margin. Soon they captured 3 of the other party's elders alive. Although the remaining 3 Tianqing Gate elders were still resisting, they were already at the end of their rope. Night Sorrow, you're really a peerless genius. After controlling the battle of the Divine Monarchs, Lu Qingyuan immediately sent a message to Night Sorrow and praised him. Of course, he could not shout and expose Night Sorrow's ability. "Oh no, I can't watch the battle anymore. Otherwise, I might break through to the High God stage immediately. If I do, no one will be able to suppress Wu Yu in the 7 Sects tournament." At this time, Night Sorrow sent a message to Lu Qingyuan. He found that his understanding of Tao had increased rapidly after watching the battle of the half-step Divine King. If he continued watching, he would immediately face the divine tribulation. Don't worry. Now that we have the situation under control, you just need to stay aside and hide. Lu Qingyuan, who had already captured 6 of the other party's elders, said with a hint of confidence. It seemed that after Night Sorrow's appearance, everything in the Tianyun school had been going smoothly. At this moment, the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingse had reached its climax. The two of them were evenly matched. The momentum of their battle was completely incomparable to that of a divine monarch. Elder Lu, what should we do? Should we lend a hand? Elder Mei of the Tianyun school asked worriedly. Seeing that the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingse was very intense and neither of them could do anything to the other, Elder Mei of the Tianyun school asked. Help! Although facing the real Divine King, we won't be able to do anything if we attack him one by one. However, a large number of ants can kill an elephant. I don't believe that a dozen of us won't be able to do anything to him. The 6 divine monarch elders of the Tianqing Gate were imprisoned in the spatial Dharma artifact. Lu Qingyuan shouted. Everyone, take out your best skills. Use all your divine weapons and secret arts on Lin Pingse. Okay. We will do our best. Elder Mei and the others began to take elixirs that could temporarily increase their strength after hearing the order. They also used their secret arts and began to bombard Lin Pingse in the battle. Even Night Sorrow, who had been watching the battle from the sidelines, took out his Samsara halberd and used the 33 Heavens battle secret art. He unleashed inferno demons subduing Lin Pingse, enveloping him in flames. Everyone from the Tianyun school knew that if they couldn't take down Lin Pingse before the reinforcements from the Tianqing Gate arrived, they would have less bargaining chips to negotiate with the other party. Given Tan Qingfeng's personality, he would definitely think that Night Sorrow was more valuable than the 6 divine monarch elders. He might not even care about their lives. Zhuangqing. I didn't expect the Tianyun school to be so shameless. More than a dozen people are attacking the Divine King together. Lin Pingse, who had been suppressed in an instant, cursed furiously. If Zhuangqing hadn't been holding him back, he would have been able to kill a divine monarch in one move. However, he couldn't care less now. He could only take the attacks of the divine monarchs head-on. Although these attacks weren't fatal, they made him feel very uncomfortable. You are the shameless ones. As the saying goes, a visitor is a guest. The Tianqing Gate arranged for the Tianyun school to suffer in such a humiliating courtyard. You even launched a series of sneak attacks. Is this what a human being would do? From the gate master to the disciples of the Tianqing Gate, you are all beasts. We, the Tianyun clan, will not show you any respect. Zhuangqing, who had suppressed Lin Pingse, had already started to use his secret arts to raise his strength to its peak. Chapter 2589. Haha. The sect leader will be here soon. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. Lin Pingse calmed down when he heard the sound of wind, which proved that the people of Tianqing Gate were very close. He felt that he could hold on for a while. At this time, the Divine King of Zhuangqing and the others all looked serious. It was too difficult to take down the Divine King in a few seconds. However, if they couldn't take down Lin Pingse, things would be difficult when the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, arrived. By now, everyone could already see that the people of the Clear Sky Gate did not have any sense of propriety, justice, integrity, or honor. They would do anything that was out of line. Elders, burn your blood essence and take him down. At this time, Night Sorrow suddenly started to burn his blood essence. He used the body forging formula that he hadn't used for a long time to increase his strength to the maximum. He took out the red golden dragon seal from the trapping formation and threw it at Lin Pingse. At the same time, he used the divine origin dragon lock spell. Yes, elders of the Tianyun clan, listen up, burn your blood essence and swear to take down Lin Pingse within 3 breaths. After Night Sorrow shouted, the Divine King of Zhuangqing was shocked. This little guy was so decisive. He would definitely become a great person in the future. As the Grand Elder of Tianyun School, the Divine King of Zhuangqing was naturally experienced. Without any hesitation, he burned his blood essence and took a desperate stance. Take down Lin Pingsa. The other elders of the Tianyun clan followed suit and shouted. Their shouts were earth-shattering. If it weren't for the concealment formation of Tianqing Gate, the people of other sects would have heard them. Damn it! Why do the people of Tianyun school seem different? Lin Pingsa panicked when he saw so many people burning their blood essence at the same time for him. At this moment he was somewhat blaming his sect's informants. If he had known that the Divine King had come to Tianyun school, he would definitely have brought more helpers and wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. Without hesitation, Lin Pingsa roared. Don't think that only Tianyun school's people are willing to risk their lives. I, Lin Pingsa, the Divine King of this generation, am not a pushover. Roaring, he began to burn the Divine King's blood essence and went all out. Red Golden Dragon Rune self-destruct. Night Sorrow's eyes had already turned red from killing. He knew that time waited for no one. If he couldn't take down Lin Pingsa within a few breaths of time, then this matter wouldn't be easy to resolve. He made a prompt decision, and made the Crimson Golden Dragon Rune self-destruct to deal a blow to his opponent. Good idea. Phoenix Blood Essence Gold Sword, self-destruct. At the critical moment, seeing that Night Sorrow had chosen to detonate the divine weapon, the Divine King of Zhuangqing made up his mind and detonated the longsword that had accompanied him for several reincarnations. Damn it! Tianyun School's people are all F***king lunatics. Lin Pingsa cursed loudly. How could he have imagined that Zhuangqing would be so decisive as to detonate the divine weapon that he had carried with him for so many years? Lin Pingsa, who hadn't reacted in time, was immediately hit and seriously injured. Lin Pingsa, let's see how you resist. After seriously injuring Lin Pingsa, Zhuangqing roared, his aura as shocking as a dragon. At the same time, the other elders of Tianyun School also went all out and detonated their divine weapons one after another. After being bombarded by them, there was no way Lin Pingsa wouldn't lose. Soon he was under Zhuangqing's control. Very good. I am very gratified by everyone's cohesiveness today. Especially Night Sorrow, who made a prompt decision and reacted more decisively than I. The Divine King of Zhuangqing. He deserves to be praised. After getting Lin Pingsa under control, the Divine King of Zhuangqing heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Tianyun School now had a bargaining chip to negotiate with Tianqing Gate. Although Tianqing Gate was very powerful now, the Divine King of Tianqing Gate was definitely an important figure in the sect. They couldn't abandon him. Divine King Zhuang, you flatter me. Night Sorrow just did what he should. After all, this happened because of me. If I didn't do something, I would feel uneasy. Night Sorrow replied humbly. Very good. You are neither arrogant nor rash. You are a man who will achieve great things. The Divine King of Zhuangqing praised. Suddenly he shouted, Friends from Tianqing Gate, since you are here, show yourself. Zhuangqing, I didn't expect you to leave Tianyun School and come to Tianqing Gate. The first person to arrive at Tianqing Gate was the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng. He was still a little late. Lin Pingsa had already been captured, which put them in a passive position. Let's cut the crap. The Divine King of Zhuangqing shouted coldly. Now that Lin Pingsa is in my hands, if you do anything, I will kill him without hesitation. I can choose not to do anything, but Night Sorrow must return the divine talisman that he took from Xianyuan Changye. Tan Qingfeng, who was floating in the air, was full of murderous intent. His aura was even more terrifying than the Divine King of Zhuangqing. Why should I give you the spoils of war that I obtained from the battle? Suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, Night Sorrow found it difficult to speak. However, he still shouted. Do you know who refined that thing? How dare an ant like you take it for yourself? Tan Qingfeng stared at Night Sorrow with a murderous look as he said this word by word. No matter whose thing it is, since it was used to harm me, don't even think about taking it back. Night Sorrow, who was suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, found it difficult to breathe. However, he still responded loudly. Bastard! I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you just because you have Grand Elder Lin under control? Tan Qingfeng roared angrily when he saw that the Grand Elder had been captured. He said coldly, "That thing was refined by the Dark Moon ruler. Do you think the Tianyan school can take it?" Tan Qingfeng, don't forget that the Tianyan school graduated from the Tianyan school. Aren't you afraid that he will be angry if you use the Dark Moon ruler to threaten the Tianyan school? Zhuangqing's divine king shouted angrily when he heard Tan Qingfeng's words. The legend of the Tianyan school named Zhen Yi was the current #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyan school. The Tianyan school is very strong, but he has long since established his own faction. Why would he bother with trash like you? Otherwise, why wouldn't he appear when the Tianyan school is being suppressed to this extent? Tan Qingfeng sneered. As for the Dark Moon ruler's illusory crystal, I have one here. Although your sects are trash, you haven't gone too far. The Tianyan school isn't going to invite the Tianyan school over. Zhuangqing glared. When he mentioned the Tianyan school's legend of the Tianyan school, his face was full of reverence. So the legend of Zhen Yi is the #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyan school. Knight Sorrow was shocked when he heard the divine king's words. He hadn't expected this at all. Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others in the spatial artifact were also shocked. It's your problem if you don't invite him. Let's see how you deal with the Dark Moon ruler today. Tan Qingfeng sneered and crushed the sovereign crystal in his hand. Chapter 2590. A ruler couldn't be offended. This was a truth that everyone in the God realm knew. After summoning the projection of the Dark Moon ruler, Tan Qingfeng smiled proudly. He bowed and said, "Lord Ruler, the divine talisman you created is in the hands of Tianyan School's Night Sorrow." Who is Night Sorrow? The face of the summoned sovereign phantom could not be seen clearly. One could only barely make out its silhouette, but it gave off a powerful pressure. "I am Night Sorrow." The projection of the Dark Moon ruler didn't release his divine domain, so Night Sorrow opened his mouth to reply. The expressions of the other Tianyan school members all changed. In front of a ruler, there was nothing they could do, let alone having Lin Pingse as a hostage. Even the divine king Zhuangqing had no choice but to lower his head. "Hand over the divine talisman I created," the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. The projection of the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. His voice wasn't particularly loud, but it was deafening to Night Sorrow's ears. However, Night Sorrow clenched his teeth and said stubbornly, "Why should I hand over the spoils of war I obtained through battle? Because I'm a ruler. Isn't that enough?" A murderous look appeared on the Dark Moon ruler's face. The faces of the Tianyan school members all changed. The divine king Zhuangqing hurriedly tried to persuade Night Sorrow. "A ruler can't be offended. Hand over the divine talisman. You must know that steel breaks easily." He was afraid that the projection would kill Night Sorrow in a fit of rage. If that happened, the Tianyan school would lose a peerless genius. Does a ruler who transcends all living things think he can be so unreasonable? Faced with the threat of the Dark Moon ruler and the divine king Zhuangqing's persuasion, Night Sorrow's brows revealed a trace of defiance. When he'd first arrived in the God realm, he'd made a concession for the safety of his family. After that, he'd vowed that no matter what kind of existence he faced, as long as they weren't reasonable, he wouldn't yield. "And this ruler admires your courage. However, the sovereign is not to be offended. You are unyielding in front of me." There was only one outcome, and that was the complete annihilation of their souls. All of a sudden, the illusory figure of ruler Darkmoon gathered his divine origin energy and sent a palm strike at Night Sorrow. This palm was a dominator-level attack. Everyone from the Tianyan school was shocked. They knew that they couldn't stop this attack. A mighty sovereign actually dared to attack a mere feather god. Dark Moon, don't you feel ashamed? At this moment, the divine talisman in Night Sorrow's hand was suddenly activated and transformed into the master of sound playing the zither. Faced with the palm strike of Hegemon Darkmoon, Hegemon Clearsound's illusory figure countered with a zither, successfully neutralizing the attack. Hegemon Clearsound, what is the meaning of this? You want to stop me for an ant? The voice of the Darkmoon ruler's phantom dropped to the freezing point. Although he was only a phantom, he represented the face of the Darkmoon ruler. He was furious that he hadn't been able to kill a feather god with one strike. I will save his life. Hegemen Clearsound's voice was somewhat ethereal, but her words were filled with dominance. Damn it. How can an ant like him be favored by Hegemen Clearsound? Upon seeing Hegemen Clearsound appear, Tan Qingfeng's expression was the same as the Tianyin school's. The Dark Moon Ruler's phantom was just as angry. He snorted coldly. You can save his life, but you must make him hand over the talisman I refined. The talisman you refined is in my hands. If you want it back, find my true body and fight it out. Although Hegemen Clearsound was a woman, she was extremely domineering in front of the Dark Moon Ruler. As expected of a sovereign, this is a true example of a woman not losing out to a man. Within his spatial artifact, Si Kongxiang was on the verge of tears when he saw how domineering Hegemen Clearsound was. Mei Ruoshue's eyes were also filled with reverence. When the Dark Moon Ruler's phantom had appeared, their hearts had been in their throats for night sorrow. They hadn't expected Hegemen Clearsound to appear, and the Dark Moon Ruler's aura immediately weakened. Good, very good. It seems you want to keep protecting him. There will be a battle between you and me. The Dark Moon Ruler didn't have the confidence to win against Hegemen Clearsound. He scolded her coldly, then disappeared in a flash. If there's going to be a battle, why are you leaving? After the Dark Moon Ruler's phantom left, Hegemen Clearsound's phantom continued to pluck the strings of her zither, sending out multiple sound waves into the air. Tan Qingfeng of Tianqing Gate didn't even dare to breathe loudly when he saw this scene. He was afraid that Hegemen Clearsound would settle accounts with him for night sorrow. Those who have nothing to do with this, disperse. After the Dark Moon Ruler's phantom disappeared, Hegemen Clearsound ordered Tan Qingfeng and the others to retreat. She looked at Night Sorrow and said, "You have outstanding talent and are neither servile nor overbearing. In the future, you will definitely become a dragon among men. My appearance today means that Tianqing Gate's crisis has been resolved. You can participate in the 7-sect tournament in peace." Thank you for saving my life, Hegemen Clearsound. Night Sorrow wanted to bow and thank her for saving his life. Hegemen Clearsound stopped him. There's no need for that. Just remember this kindness. After saying that, her figure disappeared into the void of space. After she left, everyone felt their breathing become much easier. The might of a Hegemen made it difficult for them to calm down. Elder Zhuang, the crisis has been resolved. How do you think we should deal with Lin Pingse? After Hegemen Clearsound left, Lu Qingyuan immediately asked the Divine King of Zhuangqing. Night Sorrow, how do you think we should deal with them? The Divine King of Zhuangqing didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked at Night Sorrow. He could tell that even the lofty Hegemen Clearsound didn't treat Night Sorrow as a junior. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stopped him from bowing. This was a very clear problem. I think they can avoid death, but they can't escape punishment. Leave behind everything they have and let them go. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow replied. At this time, everyone else in Tianyin school was extremely excited because of the Hegemen's appearance. Only Night Sorrow calmed down completely after a moment of excitement. The Hegemen's strength was also achieved step by step. What he needed to do was take it one step at a time. Okay. Then we'll deal with it that way. After the Divine King of Zhuangqing sought Night Sorrow's opinion, he nodded and agreed. When the sky brightened, he indeed left behind everything on Lin Pingse and the others, then let them go. However, he left them very thoroughly. Everyone was stripped naked, down to their underwear, and left Tianyin School's encampment naked. One by one, they used their strongest movement techniques and left as fast as they could. Haha. Awesome. I'm sure after this incident, Tianqing Gate won't dare to scheme against us again. The next day, Lu Qingyuan said in a carefree mood during dinner. Hegemen Clearsound is truly peerless. Si Kongxiang, who had eaten a mouthful of porridge, couldn't help but praise. Everyone else chimed in and began to discuss. At this moment, Night Sorrow reminded everyone, let's not talk about the Hegemen too much, lest we say the wrong thing and be tainted by karma. That makes sense. Then let's prepare for the next round of the Feather God Group tournament. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Qingyuan's face. He was truly in a good mood after this 7-sect tournament. If I meet Su Yan after defeating Wuyo, I'll let her win. I hope you don't mind. Night Sorrow explained. I'm not doing this to curry favor with Hegemin Clearsound. I owe my life to Su Yan, regardless of whether or not it was Hegemin Clearsound's will. She was the one who gave me the talisman. Everyone can understand. Furthermore, Tianyun School has already taken first place in the 7-sect tournament. It doesn't matter if we don't take first place. Lu Qingyuan nodded. Everyone else also expressed their understanding. I wonder what the results of today's draw will be? On the day of the quarterfinals, everyone from Tianyun School sat in their seats and waited. As usual, Lu Qingyuan went to participate in the draw. Chapter 2591. No matter how bold they were, they would never have guessed that Night Sorrow would be matched against Wuyu. The host of the 7-sect tournament, Liang Shijun, the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, announced the names of the 4 matches. Everyone began to discuss it. They all felt that this was an early fight for the championship. Wuyu was the undisputed king of the Divine Feather realm. He had been on the Divine Feather list for many years. Night Sorrow was a legend who had risen recently. He was as strong as Wuyu. He had challenged the top 3 experts in public, but Wuyu and the others didn't accept the challenge. Now that these 2 experts were about to meet in the 7-sect tournament, everyone's attention was on them. Haha. This Wuyu is really unlucky. He's going to meet Brother Yi in the quarterfinals. Looks like this defending champion won't even be able to enter the top for this time. Si Kongxiang was the first to laugh when he heard the names of the matches from Tianyun School. In his opinion, Wuyu was definitely no match for Night Sorrow. It was sad that they were matched against each other. Night Sorrow, are you sure you can beat Wuyu? As a girl, Mei Ruoxua was more reserved. She asked seriously. Wuyu has been on the top of the Divine Feather list for a long time. He must be very strong. Also, he must have cultivated for much longer than me. He must have more tricks up his sleeve. Night Sorrow analyzed Wuyu's advantages rationally. He then said confidently, however, I don't have any shortcomings in the Divine Feather realm. I shouldn't be afraid of anyone. Yi Shang's words were not baseless confidence. Whether it was the strength of his body, divine yuan energy, soul power, elemental affinity, or divine artifact, he was an overwhelming existence in the Divine Feather realm. Wuyu might be outstanding in 1 or 2 aspects, but he couldn't be so well-rounded. If he had such a strong foundation, he would have become a supreme god a long time ago. There was no need for him to stay in the Divine Feather realm and waste time. Haha. Brother Ye's victory was inevitable. Think about it for a moment. Even Hegemin Clearsound thinks highly of someone. How could he possibly lose to someone on the same level as him? Si Kongxiang was completely optimistic about Night Sorrow's victory. In his opinion, a person with the aura of a ruler would definitely be invincible within the same realm. Let's see if we will use any underhanded methods. If he cheats like Xianyuan Changya, he'll definitely be hard to deal with. Night Sorrow's first 2 matches were not smooth sailing, and Ho Qingshan was worried that he would encounter Wuyo in a similar situation. At this moment, the usually reserved Yanzheng suddenly smiled and said, Senior Brother Ho, I think you should pay attention to our duel first. It turned out that the second group's match was a civil war between Tianyun School students. Yanzheng versus Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan had actually met the students of Tianyun School twice in a row. What's there to be concerned about? I'm telling you, don't go easy on me again. Otherwise, I'll get angry with you. Ho Qingshan had yet to recover from the backlash of forcefully using his bloodline ability. He immediately reprimanded Yanzheng after hearing his words. Si Kongxiang had already gone easy on him, allowing him to fulfill his dream of entering the top 8 in the 7-sect tournament. If Yanzheng went easy on him again, he would not be able to face him. Alright, we'll see. Yanzheng replied and did not say anything else. As for the other 2 matches, it was Shangshu Yan versus Yan Jifei, and Ao Qingsong versus Wen Tianhe. These 2 matches were very interesting to watch. Shangshu Yan of the Sky Immortal sect was ranked 2nd on the Feather God list. Yan Jifei of the Sky Martial Pavilion used to be ranked 3rd, but he had fallen to 9th after being defeated by Night Sorrow. The two of them were only one rank apart. It was hard to say who would win if they fought. Ao Qingsong versus Wen Tianhe were ranked 4th and 5th on the Feather God list respectively. They were also only one rank apart. Their match was very suspenseful. Everyone prepare yourselves. Those who are going to fight, go up. Those who are going to watch, quickly find your seats. After Lu Qingyuan returned, he explained to everyone. He then looked at the three people who were going to fight and said, Night Sorrow, do your best. As for the two of you, go and play. Elder Lu, what do you mean play? One of us will enter the top 4 of the 7-sect tournament. Hearing this, Yan Zheng replied jokingly. No matter who advances, you will be the easiest person to advance to the top 4 in the history of the 7-sect tournament. To be honest, this is the disadvantage of the arena mode. Only the experiential mode can truly train people. Lu Qingyuan took advantage of the arena mode, but he did not forget to complain about the rules. If there's nothing else, I'm going to fight. Yishan smiled as he looked at the crowd. Then, he slowly flew towards arena number 1. When Night Sorrow's figure slowly landed in the center of arena number 1, the referee was already in place. The spectator seats were also full, but Wu Yu had yet to arrive. Wu Yu is so arrogant. After waiting for about 15 minutes, the other matches had already begun, but Wu Yu had yet to appear. Night Sorrow was still waiting calmly. Si Kongxiang, who was watching the match, could not help but complain. Could it be that he thinks he can't beat Night Sorrow, so he chose to avoid the battle? Mei Ruoxue, who was beside Si Kongxiang, said faintly. I don't think so. How embarrassing would that be? Si Kongxiang was speechless. If Wu Yu chose to avoid the battle, he would definitely be so embarrassed in the Cloud Fairy continent that he would not be able to raise his head. He's here. What a big card. However, the bigger the spectacle, the more embarrassed he will be. Just as the two of them were talking, a war chariot pulled by 9 Sir God-level flood dragons suddenly appeared in the void. The main character of this match, Wu Yu, was on the war chariot. Si Kongxiang could not help but complain when he saw Wu Yu's extravagant display. Night Sorrow. Today is not only the day you and I fight, but also the day you die. Prepare to die. Wu Yu's arrogant voice could be heard when the war chariot was still some distance away from the arena. Senior brother Wu Yu is invincible in the Feather God level. Senior brother Wu Yu killed Night Sorrow and defended the throne of the Feather God list. When Wu Yu appeared, many disciples watching the match at Tianqing Gate cheered wildly. They looked as if they were welcoming an invincible god of war. In fact, that was indeed the case. Wu Yu had never tasted defeat in his entire life. What? Are you so scared that you don't dare to speak? Wu Yu, who was controlling the war chariot and flying slowly above the arena, asked when he saw that Night Sorrow did not respond. I don't have much to say to the dead. Yi Shang, who was looking at Worryless, was expressionless. His voice was also not loud. However, Wu Yu was so angry that his veins bulged. He sneered and said, I changed my mind. I won't kill you today. Instead, I will make you my slave forever. You are very confident. Come, let me see how strong you are, the number 1 on the Feather God list. Make your move. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Yu and said, There is no need for me to deal with you personally. Sending my slave is enough. Go tear him apart. Chapter 2592. What? You can use this method in the 7-sect tournament? That's too shameless. Seeing that Wu Yu controlled the 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragons to attack Night Sorrow, everyone from Tianyun School was furious. What do you know? This is a reasonable use of the rules. The 9 Flood Dragons are all puppets under my control. Why can't I use them against my opponent? Wu Yu, who was floating in the air, seemed to be able to guess the doubts in everyone's hearts. He sneered. You can control 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragon puppets by yourself. It seems that your divine soul is very powerful. Seeing that the 9 Flood Dragons were shooting wind, fire, thunder, and lightning at him, Night Sorrow praised Wu Yu and then used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to hide. At the same time, he took out the Heavenly Samsara Halberd and used the Fiery Demon Subduing Flames to dye the space around the arena red. Oh, The flood dragons that were burned by the flames flew up into the air. The flames that were stained with the phoenix blood made the flood dragons very uncomfortable, so they could only choose to retreat temporarily. At the same time, Night Sorrow, who was holding the heavenly samsara halberd, chased after them and used the forbidden 10 spears. 9 of the 10 spears were aimed at the low-level Divine Lord flood dragons, and the last spear was aimed at Wu Yu's forehead. Night Sorrow, you're brave. Good job. Lu Qingyuan shouted excitedly when he saw that Night Sorrow was still so strong in the face of the 9 Divine Lord flood dragons and Wu Yu. Si Kongxiang also exclaimed, he really has an invincible aura. The other people from Tianyun's school were also very excited. In fact, they were not the only ones. The other spectators were also stunned by Yi Shang's valiant display. Who would have thought that he, a feather god, could face 9 Divine Lord flood dragons alone without being defeated? This was the strength of a monster. Wu Yu, who was controlling the flood dragons, looked a little gloomy. 6 Directions godly ruler. In the face of Night Sorrow's heavenly samsara halberd, he let out a loud shout and summoned a ruler-shaped divine weapon to meet Night Sorrow's spear head-on. Boom. After the two collided, the void immediately exploded, and the entire mountain shook. The 9 flood dragons that faced Night Sorrow's 9 spears each executed their own ultimate techniques. Every time they clashed, it felt like the ground was shaking. Is this still a battle between feather gods? The power of the battle made Liang Shijun, the deputy leader of Tianqing Gate, exclaim in surprise. This battle seemed to be completely at the Divine Lord level. This is indeed a battle between 2 peerless geniuses. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have given Wu Yu the 9-dragon war chariot. I would have given him an even more powerful divine weapon. This Night Sorrow has already exceeded my expectations. Fan Xianyun, the other Grand Supreme Elder of Tianqing Gate, sighed regretfully. In fact, it wasn't Wu Yu's powerful spiritual soul that allowed him to control the 9 Divine Lord level flood dragons. It was the 9-dragon war chariot that allowed him to control the 9 flood dragons. This was completely cheating, but the judge didn't say anything. You will definitely lose today's battle. I, Wu Yu, will defend my position on the Feather Gods list. After blocking Night Sorrow's attack with the heavenly samsara halberd, Wu Yu's eyebrows were filled with murderous intent. He could already tell that the 9 Divine Lord level flood dragons were not enough to defeat Night Sorrow. He immediately used a secret technique to increase his strength and prepared to fight with the 9 flood dragons. Winning or losing is not decided by words. Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, said disdainfully. At the moment he was suppressing a fire-type flood dragon. This flood dragon was continuously hit by the halberd radiance of the heavenly samsara halberd. It kept roaring in the void and tried to escape, but it couldn't get rid of the halberd radiance. I, Wu Yu, will prove it with my strength. Wu Yu, who had been despised, exploded with murderous intent. That violent murderous intent made the disciples of Tianqing Gate scream. Then, Wu Yu took out a mountain-shaped relic and threw it into the void. It covered Night Sorrow's head directly. Night Sorrow immediately felt an irresistible weight pressing down on him. He couldn't lift his head. What a strong power. But this is still not enough to suppress me. Night Sorrow's aura was completely locked on by this mountain-shaped relic. He couldn't escape at all. He made a prompt decision to use the 33 Heavens battle secret technique and increase his strength tenfold. He used the heavenly samsara halberd to attack the mountain-shaped relic that was suppressing him. He wanted to shake off the suppression. Haha. It's useless. Take my 6 Directions deity-destroying ruler. Seeing that Night Sorrow was suppressed, Wu Yu sneered and attacked with the 6 Directions deity-destroying ruler. The 9 flood dragons in the void also swarmed up, and were ready to tear Night Sorrow apart. Night Sorrow, watch out. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching the battle, saw that Night Sorrow was suppressed. He was so nervous that he clenched his fists. Mei Ruoxue was so scared that she closed her eyes, afraid that a tragedy would happen. Si Kongxiang and Yun Tingfei cheered for Night Sorrow. They didn't want to show weakness. Not bad, but it lacks real killing power. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had attacked the mountain-shaped relic with the 6 Directions deity-destroying ruler, controlled the heavenly samsara halberd to resist the mountain-shaped relic with its own strength. He used his bare hands to block Wu Yu's 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. Haha. You dare to block my 6 directions deity-destroying ruler with your bare hands. Night Sorrow, I have to admire your courage. However, you are digging your own grave. Seeing that Night Sorrow had blocked the 6 directions deity-destroying ruler with his bare hands, Wu Yu sneered. 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. It was a monarch grade relic. He didn't believe that Night Sorrow's body had reached the monarch grade. Boom. A moment later, the answer given by time shocked Wu Yu to the point of being dumbfounded. He discovered that countless cracks had appeared on his 6 directions divinity destruction ruler from Yi Shang's punch. How is this possible? Wu Yu couldn't believe what had happened. He came from the same family as Wu Xian. He had learned from Wu Xian about body tempering, and had reached the upper feather god grade. Originally, he thought that even if he couldn't take down Night Sorrow for the time being, he could use his body's strength to crush him after the two's divine essence powers were depleted. Now it looked like this possibility was gone. Moreover, Wu Yu judged that if the two's divine essence powers were completely depleted, he definitely wouldn't be Night Sorrow's match in terms of body strength. He immediately thought of countermeasures in his heart. He thought to himself, it's all Grand Elder Fan's fault. The 9 Dragons War Chariot's grade is too low. The 9 dragons summoned can't do anything to Night Sorrow. However, if I control them to self-destruct, the effect will definitely be very good. Thinking of this, Wu Yu didn't hesitate at all. He immediately made the fire attribute dragon closest to Night Sorrow self-destruct. Under Wu Yu's control, this fire attribute dragon didn't delay at all, and directly chose to self-destruct. Rumble. A deafening sound instantly reverberated throughout the entire place. The self-destruction of a monarch-grade fire attribute dragon caused the surrounding void to completely collapse. How's Night Sorrow doing? The earth-shattering sound of self-destruction rang out. The hearts of everyone in Tianyan School immediately rose to their throats. Chapter 2593. In fact, the people of Tianyan School were too concerned about Yi Shiwen. Night Sorrow had survived the invincible monarch god talismans twice. How could he be killed by the self-explosion of a lower monarch god flood dragon? Just as the disciples of Tianqing Gate were cheering for Wu Yu's victory, Yi Shang's figure stepped out of the smoke. Samsara Void Palm. As soon as he appeared, Night Sorrow attacked Wu Yu with the Samsara Void Palm. After being attacked continuously and suffering some minor injuries, Night Sorrow's fighting spirit was aroused. What's going on? Why do I feel like I'm facing thousands of palms? Facing the Samsara Void Palm, Wu Yu was shocked. He couldn't see through the trajectory of Night Sorrow's attack. Bang! The sudden attack from the void sent Wu Yu flying. The spectators of the Tianqing sect had yet to recover from their cheers when they let out a huge cry of surprise. Exclaim? What will make you exclaim is yet to come. Seeing everyone's reaction, Night Sorrow called back the Samsara halberd that was locked in a stalemate with the mountain-shaped divine weapon. Without hesitation, he attacked Wu Yu with the Samsara strike. When Wu Yu reacted and wanted to dodge, Night Sorrow used the divine essence dragon lock spell to trap him. Boom! Wu Yu, who couldn't break the divine essence dragon lock spell in a short time, was hit by the Samsara halberd. The injury was completely different from when he was hit by the palm. The robe on his body was shattered by the halberd radiance of the Samsara halberd. His entire person looked extremely wretched. Many parts of his body even revealed his bones. Sky-killing halberd. After the remaining 8 Divine Lord-level flood dragons came to their senses, they continued to attack Yishan. Facing their attacks, Night Sorrow chose to take them head-on. Once again, he attacked Wu Yu with the heaven-slaughtering divine halberd that had the reincarnation attribute. He had deduced this move when he was fighting against the Shangguan clan's great elder, Shangguan Ku. It was very powerful and carried a crazy killing intent. Damn it. He still couldn't avoid it. We can only take it head-on. Facing Night Sorrow's sky-killing divine halberd, Wu Yu knew that dodging was useless. He controlled the mountain-shaped divine weapon, and chose to collide with it directly. He knew that he would not be able to block this attack with the 6 directions God Destruction Ruler. Wu Yu's mountain-shaped divine artifact, the 10,000 Mountains Divine Peak, was a monarch god-level taboo divine artifact given to him by the Gate Master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng. It was indeed very powerful and could withstand this attack. 1,000 sky-splitting shadow palms. Night Sorrow, who had used his god domain and divine lord level Azure Phoenix battle armor to forcefully resist the attacks of the 8 dragons, continued to madly attack Wuyo. Wuyo, who was in a panic, could not react in time. He was hit in the chest, and several of his sternum were broken. Such powerful attacks, wave after wave of attacks. In terms of strength, I am not as strong as him. Wuyo, who had spat out a mouthful of blood, immediately used his divine origin energy to repair his body. He was a little frightened. Forbidden Spear. At this moment, he felt that Wuyo's aura was obviously suppressed. Night Sorrow sneered and attacked again. This was the effect he wanted, using the continuous and violent attacks to make Wuyo completely lose the confidence to resist. Again, how is your divine origin energy so dense that it can support such frequent attacks? As expected, Wuyo's face turned ghastly pale when Night Sorrow used his Forbidden Spear. Wuyo, use that move quickly. Even if it's cheating, we have to win this battle. At this moment, the Grand Elder of Tianqing Gate, Fan Xianyun, who was standing outside the arena, reminded him. Yes. Now that things have come to this, I can only use that method. Otherwise, I will definitely lose. Wuyo, who was completely suppressed by Night Sorrow, heard Fan Xianyun's reminder, and his eyes lit up. He looked up to the sky and roared. The power of heaven and earth is for me to use. In an instant, a large amount of divine spiritual energy in the area around Tianqing Gate rushed toward Wuyo and entered his body. While repairing his body, it also filled his divine origin energy again. 9 Dragons War Chariot. Protect Master. Wuyo, who had just recovered, did not have the chance to dodge the Forbidden Spear. At the crucial moment, he chose to use the 9 Dragons War Chariot to block in front of him. The heavenly Samsara halberd hit the 9 Dragons War Chariot, and the entire war chariot was smashed into pieces. The 8 flood dragons that had been attacking Yishang all this time disappeared into the void as the war chariot shattered. Ha 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 ha. The 9 Dragons War Chariot and the 8 dragons all disappeared into the void. Wuyo, on the other hand, laughed wildly. With the support of the power of heaven and earth around Tianqing Gate, he felt that the divine origin energy in his body was about to overflow. The divine spiritual energy around Tianqing Gate was immeasurable. This meant that if he continued to fight here, the divine origin energy in his body would never dry up. The winner of this battle will be me, Wuyo. Feeling the explosive power in his body, Wuyo sneered. Night Sorrow, you used so many secret techniques in succession just now. And you even used a secret technique to increase your strength. I think the backlash will come soon. The endless power made Wuyo feel like he controlled the world. At this moment, he felt like he was the ruler. Whether it's true or not, I will defeat you. Night Sorrow naturally understood what was going on with Wuyo. However, absolute confidence appeared between his brows. At this moment, he suddenly thought of a crazy way to fight. I, Wuyo, will never run out of divine power. I am invincible in the divine feather realm. Night Sorrow, prepare to meet your death. After his aura rose to a certain level, Wuyo, who had a crazed look on his face, roared and prepared to use his secret technique. Shameless. The two of them are using the power of heaven and earth to fight in the arena. This is completely cheating. Referee, don't you care? Lu Qingyuan, who was watching from the sidelines, flew to the referee and asked. Firstly, he didn't use any divine talismans. Secondly, he didn't use any elixirs. Thirdly, he didn't consume any treasures. It's not a violation of the rules, the referee replied coldly to Lu Qingyuan's question. F***CK. Are you from Tianqing Gate? A disciple of Tianqing Gate is participating in a battle, and the referee is choosing an elder from Tianqing Gate. Don't you have any shame? When he got closer, Lu Qingyuan immediately determined from the referee's aura that he was from the Clear Sky sect. If you make any more noise, it will affect me. I will rule that Tianyan School has violated the rules. Wuyo is the winner. In the face of Lu Qingyuan's question, The referee threatened him disdainfully. Shameless. Tianqing Gate had put in a lot of effort for Wu You's battle. Lu Qingyuan, who couldn't help Night Sorrow at all, felt a sense of guilt. He felt that he wasn't qualified to lead the team. Wow. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan heard an uproar in the arena. He looked at the void where the battle was taking place and was instantly stunned. At this moment, Night Sorrow had used the Divine Essence Dragon Locking Array to lock himself and Wu You in a narrow space. He had chosen to fight him in close combat. Wu You, isn't your Divine Essence energy boundless and endless? Why don't you show it to me? Wu You's despicable method had completely infuriated Night Sorrow. He sneered and used his strong body to launch a crazy attack. This battle instantly turned into the most primitive way of fighting. In such a small space, Wu You didn't have the space to use his secret techniques. He could only bite the bullet and fight Night Sorrow. Yi Shang's body was already unrivaled in the Feather God realm. Furthermore, he had the support of the Azure Phoenix battle armor, so he quickly suppressed Wu You in close combat. Wu You, who had so much God Essence energy that it was about to overflow, felt like crying but had no tears. Night Sorrow, I heard that you are the Feather God of Merit. You should be very concerned about the safety of your friends, right? Wu You was completely suppressed. It was only a matter of time before he lost. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Chapter 2594. If my information is correct, Yaoshi should be your friend, right? Wu You, who was being suppressed, had no chance to use his ultimate techniques in this narrow space. He had sufficient Divine Essence energy, but he couldn't use it at all. He wasn't Night Sorrow's match in close combat, so he felt very aggrieved. Seeing that he was about to lose, he prepared to play tricks again. This was another trump card he had prepared to deal with Night Sorrow. Yaoshi, what did you do to her? Hearing Wu Yu's words, Night Sorrow thought for a moment. Yaoshi had indeed not appeared for a while. He thought that she had left. Haha. Of course, she has been controlled by the people of Tianqing Gate. Wu Yu laughed evilly in the enclosed space and transmitted his voice. How is it? Did you choose to give up this battle to save your friend? Or did you choose to ignore your friend's life and death for the sake of victory? Wu Yu, you did something wrong. Touching the enemy of my family and friends is equivalent to touching my reverse scale. Night Sorrow, who was still attacking, roared in the enclosed space. I didn't want to kill you, but now you will die without a doubt. Night Sorrow, whose roar shook the sky, was like an enraged tiger that wanted to tear Wu Yu to shreds. The legendary Feather God of Merit is actually such a piece of trash. For the sake of victory, you don't even care about your friend. Wu Yu, who was continuously attacked, had a body much stronger than ordinary cultivators. However, he had no chance of winning in close combat against Night Sorrow. He questioned with a crazed expression. Don't worry about these things. Think about how to welcome death. Night Sorrow, who was completely enraged, sneered and found an opportunity to shatter Wu Yu's dantian with a punch. At the same time that Wu Yu let out a blood-curdling scream. His spirit sea was shattered and his soul was destroyed. This process was too sudden. Wu Yu, who originally thought that Night Sorrow would definitely submit, was killed before he could even shout out a surrender. After killing Wu Yu, Night Sorrow did not immediately disperse the Divine Origin Dragon Locking formation. Instead, he kept Wu Yu's spatial artifact into his bag and studied the items inside. He found a millstone-shaped secret treasure. After testing it out, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Sure enough." Then, he dispersed the Divine Origin Dragon Locking formation. Wu Yu's body, which had completely lost its vitality, fell to the ground. Seeing that Wu Yu had already been killed, everyone watching the battle at the scene all let out a wave of exclamations. Night Sorrow, I will kill you with my own hands to avenge my brother. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure slowly descend from the sky, Wu Li, who was watching from the sidelines, let out a sharp cry. He was Wu Yu's biological brother, but he had joined Tianqian school. This was an unintentional setup. You are Wu Li. After the referee announced the result of the match, Night Sorrow swallowed a Yuan Qi recovery pill and looked at Wu Li. This Wu Li was the complete opposite of his name. His entire body seemed to be filled with endless evil qi. It was as if his entire body was formed by 10,000 years of evil qi. At first glance, one could tell that he was in existence with a strong murderous nature. I am Wu Li Wuyo's brother. Night Sorrow, I heard that you are going to participate in the deity group's grand competition. I hope you won't go back on your word. Wu Li's face was filled with intense resentment. He wanted to kill Night Sorrow in the deity group's grand competition to avenge Wuyo. Of course I won't go back on my word. Night Sorrow looked fearlessly at Wu Li, who was collecting Wuyo's corpse. Since you won't go back on your word, I will lend you a hand and help you break through to the supreme deity level. You are the virtuous feather god, right? Enjoy. At this moment, Wu Li suddenly roared and took out a golden fruit from his spatial artifact and threw it at Night Sorrow. What is this? Night Sorrow instinctively wanted to dodge, but before he could do anything, the golden fruit turned into merit and wrapped around his body. In an instant, Night Sorrow's merit energy, with the help of the golden fruit, directly broke through to the supreme deity level. Forget it. So be it. I won't take first place in the 7-sect grand competition. Feeling the surge of merit energy in his body, Night Sorrow knew that it was a very good choice for him to break through to the supreme deity level now. Using merit to prove one's Tao was the path he planned to take in the future. Haha. Let's see how you will take first place in the Feather God group after breaking through to the supreme deity level. Wu Li sneered when he saw Night Sorrow sitting on the ground and preparing to break through. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan and the others rushed over and drove Wu Li away to protect Night Sorrow. They were afraid that he would be disturbed or attacked if he broke through in public. Night Sorrow, can't you wait until we return to the station to break through? Lu Qingyuan, who had driven Wu Li away, asked. He felt that breaking through and transcending the tribulation in such an environment would definitely be greatly disturbed. It's a blessing in disguise. Yishang only said these words before he swallowed a pill to break through to the high deity level in both his body and soul. He had a deep foundation and had accumulated enough strength in the Feather God realm. It did not take much effort for him to break through. At this moment, the Thunder Tribulation energy body appeared. Tribulation failed. Tribulation failed. Tribulation failed. When they saw Yishang's Tribulation Lightning Energy avatar appear, the many spectating disciples of the Pure Sky sect all began to shout even though they didn't attack. They hated the fact that Night Sorrow had killed Wu Yu. In their hearts, Wu Yu was a role model, a legend, and an object of worship. But now he had become a corpse. This made many Tianqing Gate disciples furious. Tianqing Gate's Gate Master Tan Qingfeng, Deputy Gate Master Liang Shijun, and Grand Elder Fan Xianyun were also gnashing their teeth in hatred. However, Tan Qingfeng had seen Ruler Qingyin fight the Dark Moon Ruler for Night Sorrow. He did not dare to do anything underhanded. He also stopped Grand Elder Fan Xianyun, who was about to attack. But that thing has already been taken by him. How can we take it back? Grand Elder Fan Xianyun, who was stopped by Tan Qingfeng, looked at Night Sorrow with murderous eyes. Clearly, the thing Night Sorrow had just taken from Wu Yu was not ordinary. Don't worry, Grand Elder. I have a way to solve this problem. Tan Qingfeng promised. In fact, he wanted to use Yaoshi to exchange for the Tianqing Gate's secret treasure. Seeing that Night Sorrow had chosen the path of merit, he was sure that Night Sorrow would not disregard the life of his friend for a secret treasure. Fail? Haha, no way. In addition, I would like to thank Tianqing Gate. Night Sorrow stood up amidst the boos. His eyes were shining with incomparable confidence. He had a temperament of harmony with his body and Tao. After saying this, he rose into the air and fought with the Thunder Tribulation energy body. Facing the Thunder Tribulation energy body, Night Sorrow was different from when he had broken through to the immortal state. He showed no signs of exhaustion. He used all kinds of methods, ready to kill it directly. As the battle progressed, everyone could see that this was not a good choice. The strength of the Thunder Tribulation energy body was similar to that of Night Sorrow. If this battle continued, he would be greatly injured. However, Night Sorrow stubbornly fought the Thunder Tribulation energy body head-on. Can he really survive the Thunder Tribulation like this? Chapter 2595. Ever since he started cultivating, Lu Qingyuan had never seen a cultivator as stubborn as Night Sorrow. There was clearly a simple method to transcend the tribulation, but he chose the most extreme and violent method instead of using it. What he didn't know was that Yishang was doing this for two reasons. First, he wanted to use the most domineering way to transcend the tribulation and slap everyone in the Tianqing society in the face. Second, he wanted to show Tan Qingfeng the secret treasure he had just obtained. He wanted to use the secret treasure to exchange for Yaoxi's safety. For Night Sorrow, secret treasures were easy to obtain, but friends were hard to come by. After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow was seriously injured. At this time, the disciples of Tianqing Gate were already cheering for the Thunder Tribulation. Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the other disciples of Tianyun School who were watching the fight clenched their fists and prayed for the Thunder Tribulation. Tianqing Millstone. Activate. The power of heaven and earth is mine to use. Just when Night Sorrow was seriously injured and looked like he might die, he suddenly activated the Tianqing Millstone. Just like Wuyo in the fight, his injuries were instantly healed, and his primordial spirit was replenished. In fact, when Wuyo used this move, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to determine what was going on. He didn't rely on his own ability, but on the Tianqing Millstone. Therefore, when Wuyo threatened him with Yaoxi, Night Sorrow chose to refuse without thinking. He knew that as long as he killed Wuyo and obtained the Tianqing Millstone, the people of Tianqing Gate would definitely give in. Bastard! I, Fan Xianyun, will find a chance to kill you. Seeing Night Sorrow use the Tianqing Millstone to pass the tribulation with the help of the power of heaven and earth of Tianqing Gate, Tianqing Gate's Taishang elder Fan Xianyun was furious. However, he didn't dare to make a move in front of everyone. In about 4 hours, Night Sorrow defeated the Lightning Tribulation Energy Clone, and officially broke through to become a lesser great deity. After the breakthrough, not only did Night Sorrow's aura become much stronger, but his movements also had a special charm. The backlash from the power of virtue had also completely disappeared. His strength had increased qualitatively. If he were to fight with Wuyo again, Night Sorrow would be able to kill him in one move without any suspense. Night Sorrow, who had just finished transcending his tribulation, slowly landed on the ground. The results of the other groups had already been announced. In the civil war at Tianyun School, Yinzheng was more skillful and successfully gave the victory to Ho Qingshan, which made the other party unhappy. Shang Xuyan, on the other hand, had displayed her formidable strength in the battle against Yin Jifei. She had easily defeated her opponent. Her battle prowess was not any weaker than Wuyo's. As for the last group, Ao Qingsong from the Heavenly Star Pavilion was seriously injured and almost died. In the end, he succeeded in eliminating Wen Tianhe. As a result, he lost the ability to participate in the next round. Night Sorrow had withdrawn from the Seven Sects tournament because he had broken through to become a great deity. Ho Qingshan and Ao Qingsong had both lost the ability to fight. The championship was already in Shang Xuyan's bag. Haha, Night Sorrow, congratulations on taking the first step and becoming a great deity. You may be the God Realm cultivator who has occupied the first place for the shortest time. Shang Xuyan, who had already won the Seven Sects tournament, immediately went to congratulate Night Sorrow after he finished his breakthrough. Haha, I should congratulate you for becoming the first place on the God Realm list and winning the Seven Sects tournament, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Isn't it because of your withdrawal? You owe me a favor, and now we're even. You don't say, occupying the first place on the God Realm list and winning the Seven Sects tournament at the same time feels good. No wonder Wu Yu tried so hard to defeat you. Shang Xuyan's face was full of smiles. Although she said that, she didn't seem to care too much about it. She came from the Shangshu family, where ruler Voiceless was from, so she didn't care much about fame. We're even now, but Night Sorrow can't forget that you saved my life. If you hadn't given me ruler Voiceless divine talisman, I would have been crippled or killed by the gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng. Night Sorrow looked at Shang Xuyan and said seriously, "You're talking about that? Actually, you're the one at a disadvantage. The divine talisman I got was extremely powerful, while the one you got only contained a projection of the ruler." Shang Xuyen smiled and continued. If you guys from the Tianyan school don't have anything else to do, I would like to invite you to the Tianxian sect tonight, so that we can celebrate together. What do you think? At the same time, I would like to introduce you to the senior sisters of the Great Deity Group. When the Great Deity Group competition starts, we can all support each other. So, do you want to go or not? Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow looked at Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang and the other Tianyan school disciples. He was prepared to meet the Great Deity experts, but he still needed to ask for everyone's opinion. I'm going. Of course I'm going. Si Kongxiang was the first to answer Night Sorrow. He answered without hesitation. Si Kongxiang, you answered so straightforwardly. Are you interested in a female disciple of the Tianxian sect? Mei Ruoxue had a puzzled look on her face when she saw Si Kongxiang rush to answer. The two of them had been childhood sweethearts, but after entering the sect, the two of them seemed to have opened the door to a new world. They had tacitly walked out of that state of mind back then. I think that the young lady I met in the first round was very otherworldly. She suits my taste. Si Kongxiang said without the slightest shyness. Shang Xuyen turned to look at him when she heard this. Haha, I can set you up later. Si Kongxiang, thank you, senior sister Shang Xiu. Si Kongxiang saluted her with cupped fists. Look at you. You look like a lecherous hungry ghost. His appearance attracted a burst of ridicule from Mei Ruoxue. Everyone burst into laughter. Night Sorrow locked his gaze on Tan Qingfeng. He sent a telepathic message, release Yaoshi within 2 hours. Otherwise, the Tianqing Gate will lose the Tianqing millstone forever. Everyone was celebrating tonight. Night Sorrow didn't want Yaoshi to be the only one missing. Haha. Night Sorrow, you have proven your Dao through merit. You are indeed loyal to your friends. Alright, I'll order someone to bring Yaoshi here. Tan Qingfeng, who had originally wanted to talk to Night Sorrow about the Tianqing millstone, raised his eyebrows when he heard Night Sorrow's voice transmission. His face lit up with joy. The Tianqing millstone was useless elsewhere. However, if it was used in the Tianqing Gate area, it could trigger the power of heaven and earth. It was very important to the Tianqing Gate, so it couldn't be lost. Alright, let's wait for Yaoshi to come over before we discuss the terms of the exchange. Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Tan Qingfeng before he turned around and continued chatting with Shang Xuyen. Tan Qingfeng's face darkened when he heard this. He knew that Night Sorrow was going to ask for an exorbitant price. However, although he was displeased, the importance of the Tianqing millstone was self-evident. He didn't retort. Instead, he began to think about his bargaining chips. After Yaoshi was brought over, Tan Qingfeng sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Tell me, what else do you want? The Tianqing millstone is important, but don't ask for an exorbitant price. Otherwise, I won't agree. I don't want much. I just want pills. Night Sorrow replied casually. What pills? That you're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.